Okay.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Coach Darwin Rivers and welcome to another episode of the HR Cafe, Usapang Trabaho, Buhay at Iba Pa, Let me just share our presentation for today. Um, Apologies for live, and we're just having some minor technical problems. Okay. So, again, let me just welcome you to the HR Cafe Usapang Trabaho, Buhay Iba Pa. Our episode for today is Creating Impact, How to Make a Positive Influence at Work. Today is February 5. We're already on our episode 123rd. We're the longest running HR virtual cafe program, and we're being aired live at the Philippines HR Group, FB Group page, and also our YouTube channel, as well as the HR Cafe Usapang Trabaho Buhay Iba Pa FB page. We welcome you to our weekly weekend program, the HR Cafe Usapang Trabaho Buhay Iba Pa. It's an online talk show that was established way back to 2020, and we've been doing this for almost 3 years now, and we're happy to invite you. We are your HR Cafe servers. Again, my name is Coach Darwin Rivers. I'm the founder and CEO of the Philippines HR Group. I'm a certified life coach, a public speaker, motivational speaker, and HR consultant. I'm also currently the vice president for global HR operations of a BPO company. Joining me, of course, for today is Mentor Alan Cañete. Mentor Alan is a learning and development and OD practitioner with more than 20 years of corporate and freelance consulting experience. He's the president and managing director of Creative Moves, Business Outsourcing, and also a board director of the Philippines HR Group. Please say hello, Mentor Alan.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in this beautiful planet. I'd like to welcome you to this Sunday habit of ours, a worthwhile habit of learning about a lot of topics, usually mga connected sa HR and management. So, dyan lang po kayo at meron tayong napaka-interesting topic for today.
Yes, 2 whole hours of learning for everyone. Next would be, of course, mentors Tina Koang. Mentors Tina is an operations and HR leader with broad local and overseas experience. She's a general manager for a retail company, best known for online content and blog tinaandmanila.com, one of LinkedIn's top 100 Filipinos to follow. Mentor Tina Koang. Please say hello, Mentor Tina.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for logging on to the HR Cafe, your weekly Sunday habit of free learning. This week, we will have the topic of creating impact by one of the people that I've met back in Singapore last year. When I saw her, I was so impressed with what she was. Technically, ang ginawa niya, she was working for somebody else, and then she started her own business here, and of course, empowering Filipinos to actually be leveled up para pareho sila sa mga counterparts all around the world. When you look at her, you will be impressed with her credentials, but also what she stands for, which is creating impact nga. A good reminder for everyone that what we are right now is we what we're doing is very important, and we need to also make a difference wherever we go. Coach Dar?
Agreement, Tina. Of course, that will be on our second part of our program, the free learning and training program that all of our audience and listeners ay talagang inaabangan. Of course, hahabol din daw po for today's episode si Mentor Rona Del Ferentino. Mentors Rona is the president and CEO of Uprush Social Geekers. She's also a public speaker and HR consultant with more than 20 years of HR practitioner experience working with different local and international companies. Also one of LinkedIn's top 100 Filipinos to follow. You will be seeing her as we proceed with the show. So let's start our program. Sa lahat po ng ngayon pa lang naka-join at sa lahat naman ng matagal lang nakikinig at nanonood at nagsusubaybay sa amin, dito po sa HR Cafe, we provide timely updates. We also impart knowledge and experience that are value-adding and beneficial to you, our audience. We discuss problems, issues, and challenges and provide answers and resolutions on the different HR topics as well as leadership and management topics. We provide weekly free training, and that's the second part of our program. And this is through our expert and seasoned guest resource speakers. We also discuss new technology, tools, and processes, as well as industry's best practice. End of the day, we would like to bridge understanding between employers and employees. And our goal is to provide inspiration and motivation to the Filipino working community. Let's enter the HR Cafe and let's start the show. And when we say starting the show, we started with our wow quote for the week. And for this particular week, the wow quote for the week is coming from Sir Stephen Covey. And according to Sir Stephen Covey, what you do has far greater impact. Say again, what you do has far greater impact than what you say. This is according to Stephen Covey. This is our wow quote for the week. I would like to encourage everyone, sa lahat ng nanonood at nakasubaybay sa atin ngayon, please share to us how does this particular quote resonates to you. Ano pong ibig sabihin ng quote na to na sinabi ni Sir Stephen Covey para sa buhay nyo at ano ang pagkakaintindi nyo? Please share it to the comment section and we'll be happy to share it to our community. Now, let's start with our mentors. Mentors, Tina, what's your take on this well quote for the week for today?
As you age, okay, so sa mga tao na mas bata pa, we're easily impressed by people who sound intelligent, sound competent, sound as if there's full of promise. And I think sa HR, we meet a lot of those pagdating sa recruitment. Kasi pagdating sa interview, lahat kaya. I can multitask, I'm very competent, I have good working attitude, masipag ako, I'm responsible. But lesson learned, it is only through experience that you learn talaga na people always say things, but they don't always mean what they say. It's very important as you age, as you mature, as you gain more experience to be able to differentiate those who are saying things just so they can get the job or just so they can attain their goals versus people who actually do things. And I think this wow quote of the week is relatable hindi lang sa mga HR practitioners. Sa estudyante, 'di ba? For example, magkakagrupo kayo, mag-a-assign kayo ng roles. May mga tao, sige gagawin ko 'yan. Tapos pagdating sa meeting, mukhang binasa yung assignment, maraming sinasabi. Pero sa totoo lang, wala namang laman. Pagdating sa trabaho, baka may ma-meet kayong mga managers. Mataas ang sweldo, mataas ang posisyon, mukhang magaling. Pero pagdating ng problema, pagdating sa gawa, wala naman. When we talk to our friends, 'di ba? Pag mangungutang sa'yo, kaya ko 'yan, babayaran kita. Tapos later on makikita mo hindi pala nagbabayad. Tapos nagagalit pa pag sinisingil mo. Don't sa akin, learn the lesson, 'di ba? Kasi if we don't learn the lesson, mabilis tayong mabudol. Listen always not to what people tell you, but look at what they do. Kasi for me, ang mantra ko na ngayon is I'd like to surround myself with people who are doers, not talkers. I'm already done with listening. Ang dami ko nang na-meet. Sobrang galing sa dakdak, pero puro bola lang. And so I implore all HR practitioners, hindi ibig sabihin very eloquent, ang mga words niya akala mo pang international. Pero pagdating sa gawa, wala. Make sure you surround yourself with people. And I'm saying people, that means friends, family, colleagues, and especially spouses, boyfriend, girlfriends. And train your children na always do what you say and not do. And then also, lastly, I'd like you to recognize if these people always keep on promising things but are not doing, let us also have the courage to call them for what they really are, which are sinungaling. Kasi tayo, Pinoy tayo, we don't want to talk. We don't like to tell bad things. Eh. We don't want to tell, uy, sinungaling yan. Pero I implore you, if people don't do what they say, label them na in your mind. Sinungaling tong tao na to. Huwag ka nang umasa na susundin niya yung ginagawa niya. At huwag ka nang
Or hold them
mapabiktima-biktima.
accountable.
Or
No, Mentor
hindi mo
Tina?
ipapakita ako
Hold them
sinungaling.
accountable.
Hindi pa ako nagbabayad kasi next month pa ako magbabayad. 'Di ba umaasa ka pa tapos next month na naman, sinungaling na naman, hindi na naman nagbayad. So, surround yourself with people who do what they say, and I think your life will be more pleasant than what it is today. Oh, 'di ba nag-rhyme pa ako. How about sa'yo, Mentor Alan?
Oh, alam mo, I really, really agree what you said, no? And para sa akin, bottom line lang yan. Actions speak louder than words, right? And sa corporate, actually, malawak siya, no? Applicable yan in many respects, no? Like the family, sa friends, sa corporate, sa even the society. Ang bottom line, we deliver dapat our promise. Whatever you commit, no, you deliver. There's a habit that manipulative people are addicted into doing, and that is giving empty promises. You will see them in the corporate world and in the society as a whole. No? Example, employees who are committing targets that are beyond their capability just to impress her boss. Pagdating ng delivery time, palpak. Ayun, nagagalit pa siya dahil bagsak sa performance appraisal. Bosses who are promising promotions and salary increases that are beyond the allotted budget. Yung pala, hindi kaya. Mapapaya siya sa mga tao niya. No? And that will definitely demoralize people. Leaders in the society who are promising the impossible just to get the people's votes. But all these are intended to gain control. Result, frustration, disappointment, loss of trust, loss of integrity. Bottom line yan, do not promise what you cannot deliver, but deliver more what you can. Huwag yung lip service, blah, blah, blah. Sabi nga ng Nike, just do it. Diba? Huwag yung ngawa ng ngawa, no? Kasi ang uso ngayon, puro ngawa. Dapat gawa, huwag ngawa. Nobody has ever climbed the Mount Everest by just talking alone, no? Dada ka ng dada. Ang dami mo sinasabi tungkol sa pag-akyat ng mountain, no? Pero hindi ka pa nakakit ng mountain. No? So, you can only climb Mount Everest or whatever mountain that you want to climb by taking action and by making the effort required. And only then will you have any chance of achieving success. Back
Agree
to
on
you,
that,
Nai.
Mentor Alan. And also, of course, of what Mentor Tinas mentioned. Ako, for me, I have been hearing a lot of comments at the Philippines HR group from newbie people and also from newbie supervisors and newbie managers na nahihirapan na sila sa kanilang work, nade-demoralize sila kasi uh, maraming issues sa company, maraming issues sa bosses, that they're having some challenges on funding, some challenges on a lot of things. But always remember that if you are a leader, if you are a manager, your people look into you. And when people looks up to you, they do not only listen to what you say, but what more is that they see what you do. So I just like to reiterate that whatever actions that you do in the office, either you're a rank and file, a supervisor, a manager, please know that every action has an effect to your employees, to your clients, to your customers. And you don't have to feel that maliit lang yung maliit lang yung contribution mo or hanggang dito ka na lang kasi bawat ginagawa natin may value. And if leader ka naman, you have to understand that kailangan maging maingat ka not only on the words that you say, but more so on the actions or the decisions, the work that you do. You have to remember that there's this quote that we are being measured by the fruits of our labor. And the fruits of our labor is basically the actions, the outcome of our actions, not the words that we say. But the when we say the fruits of our labor is basically the what has the outcome of your actions, how does it impact to your employees or customers, your clients, and all of the people that surrounds you. So ibalik natin to na isipin na every action that you do is very important. So dapat every action pinag-iisipan. Let's not do things rushly. Let's make sure that we not only speak of the things that we would like to do, but also we think thoroughly of the things that we're saying and make sure that we think and do an action plan so that when we present it, when we do the action plan, when we work on it, people will really be impacted and people will really be um, grateful for the contributions that you have made. You have to be, paalala lang po, wala po nakaka-appreciate kung ang contribution nyo ay puro laway. Sabi nga ni Mentor Tina, the contributions that you give to your employees or company will be basically the actions or the things that you've done to better the lives of your employees or better the lives of your customers and clients. So, sabi nga ni Mentor Alan, action speaks louder than words. Okay, so that's it for me. Mentor Tina, Mentor Alan, meron mong mga nag-share for this particular wow quote for the week? Baka meron tayong mga audience or listeners na gusto magbahagi ng kanilang saloobin tungkol sa wow quote for the week natin.
Yes, I'd like to ask everyone, if you are here with us in the HR cafe, please leave your name, your where you are in the Philippines or elsewhere, so that we can give you a shout out to the show. So we do have somebody who said the power of our actions is bigger than the power of our words. Our actions
Wow.
definitely speak louder than our words. Jovelyn
Yes.
Bongat, Estigoy said, walk the talk. O, di ba? Napakasuccinct.
Walk the
Carol says,
talk. Correct.
good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, HR. A blessed Sunday. Janelle Consul Perez says, good afternoon po. Again, anyone who wants their names to be read, please leave your name where you are in the Philippines or elsewhere so we can give you a shout out at the show.
Thank
Si
you. So
Edison
let's proceed.
Andamo yung nagsabi nun,
Mm.
the power of our actions is bigger than the power of our words.
Hey, Edison, I hope you're feeling better now. So let's
Mm.
proceed to our HR question for the week. So, nako, Q1, marami na naman po ang
Mm.
nag-AWOL. So may nag-post sa ating HR group, how will my record of being AWOL from my previous company affect my application to a new company? So papaano daw makaka-apekto ang pag-AWOL niya sa kanyang previous company sa mga applications niya sa mga company na gusto niyang pasukan. What's your take on this? Mentor Tina, Mentor Alan. Let's start with you, Mentor Tina. AWOL, is
Hindi
this
ka
something that na ginagawa ba dapat ng mga empleyado? Ano bang impact nito sa career ng mga employees?
mm, what I can say lang is when people apply with us, we usually ask them about their previous employment. Okay. We ask them how long they've been with the company, how much their salary in the old company was. And then later on, we would ask them how many days silang nag-render pagka-resign nila. We use different words, but we always make it a point to ask them how many days sila nag-render, lalong-lalo na pag walang gap. So for example, tumigil na natapos yung job niya January 2023. Tapos the next one February 2020, 2022 tayo February 22 nag-start na siya sa next job na yon. Sigurado our HRs are trained to ask if oh, talaga? So, after ka umalis dito, nagpa-clearance, nag-move ka na. Sasabihin ng staff, yes, nagpaalam naman ako ng maayos. Ang next question namin is, how many days of rendering ka since nag-resign? At ano ang date of resignation mo? Pag ang date na binigay nila is less than 30 days, for example, 1 week, or maybe 2 weeks lang. Next question namin is, bakit 1 week lang? Pag sinabi nila, for example, na sa company nila may 15 days lang ang rendering, okay, sige. So, hindi siya AWOL. Pero pag 1 week lang, kasi 1 week lang then we will ask more questions. Lalabas at lalabas talaga yan pag immediate resignation ka. Meaning to say, kakabigay mo lang ng resignation, kinabukasan, hindi ka napapasok. Sigurado, the next thing that the person will say is, hindi, pero sinabi ko naman sa boss ko. At pumayag naman si boss na hindi na ako papasok. The next question would be is, kailan mo nakuha yung final pay mo? Doon ko makikita pag nag-clearance ka ng maayos or hindi. I'm sharing all of this because as a policy, our company does not accept people with AWOL experience. If nag-immediate resignation ka before, if nag-AWOL ka before, okay lang wala naman akong problema. That doesn't mean that you are a bad person, but you're not a good person for us lang. Kasi if ginawa mo po yung AWOL sa ibang tao, gagawin mo rin yan sa amin. So what are the common reasons of AWOL? Walang mag-aalaga sa anak. Yung tatay nanay ko nagkasakit. Yung boss, may nahanap akong bagong trabaho. Galit ako sa boss ko, inaway ako ng mga tao, kaya nag-AWOL ako or nag-immediate resignation ako. Again, employers like me prefer or want people who render 30 days notice. And if you do not render 30 days notice, we will not hire you. Because nga, parang sa amin, baka maging biktima din kami. For other people, paano malalaman? When you list it down on the CV, we will Google the company. Then we will call the HR or we will call the company. Some companies do not disclose. If they don't disclose, we go to the next company. Meaning to say, I mean, diba sabi na, data privacy eh. Pero you have to understand, in our interview questionnaire, meron siya doon, I
Correct.
authorize the company to double check my background. So, by filling our interview questionnaire, you've given me permission to double check your background and to use your information for future background checks. So, kahit na umalis ka, nag-AWOL ka, you have also authorized us to disclose. Okay? So, for me, if you want to be hired sa akin, two tips lang. First, always show up to the interview. And number two, don't have AWOL history. If you've had AWOL history, don't repeat it again. Kasi usually companies will double check only the most recent experiences. So by resigning properly, you can remove your history of AWOL. Pero sana wala tayong magalit pag kunyari hindi kayo tinanggap kasi nag-AWOL po kayo. Okay? Hindi nyo kasalanan mag-AWOL. I'm sure marami kayong magandang rason dahil nag-AWOL kayo. Pero please do not fault us for not accepting you because of your bad employment history. Alright? Coach Alan, how about you?
I really again agree with Ma'am Tina, but I also have um, five, no, five um, thoughts here, ideas here on how will your record of being AWOL from your previous company affect your application to new company. Limang bagay. Una, it can affect the prospective employer's impression on you, which was shared by Tina. Second, it can definitely ruin your reputation. Okay? So, lalo na kung ang industriya nyo ay maliit lang, ay ang bilis kumalat niyan. May mga employers pa naman na mahilig mag-secret blacklist kasi magkakilala sila sa association. Eh. Ay, kilala mo tong employee na to? O, nag-apply sa akin yan. Nako, wala na. Sira na reputasyon mo. Kaya, alagaan po ninyo yan. Third, you can get sued. Right? So, lalo na kung may mga nagawa kang kamalian sa previous company mo, may mga utang ka na tinakbuhan, tapos plus pa you did not render the 30-day notice, I think that's liable sila doon, di ba? According to
Yes.
the law, no? So, hindi nyo dapat yun ini-ignore itong batas na yan. Pang-apat, there will be no financial benefits of doing that. Kasi the company can, ayun, they can always, no? Lalo na yung mga medyo ill-minded din ng mga accountants, they can delay and delay and delay the release of your last pay. Yung iba pa nga nagrereklamo, wala na raw silang nakuhang last pay dahil maraming siningil na mga utang pala, no? So, hindi siya maganda sa finances mo. And the last one, you will only leave a bad impression on your colleagues, no? Makikita nila na ito palang kasama natin na to, hindi mahusay na uh, model our example sa ating lahat, no? And it will magiging magiging bad model ka sa mga kapwa mo empleyado eh. And sa employers naman po, kasi we really have to be clear and we have to be very, very sure, no? Certain that it is an AWOL case, abandonment of work. Kasi may mga kaso po na diniclear nating AWOL yung tao, yung pala hindi natin ma-establish because there were there were reasons. Some of them were mentioned by Ma'am Tina kanina, and there are legit reasons why they committed that offense, no? Yung AWOL. One case na nabasa ko sa internet yung hinawakan ni Attorney Del Puerto ay yung isang empleyado ay hindi naman talaga siya AWOL. Kaya lang, hindi na siya makapasok dahil wala na raw siyang funds. Bakit? Kasi delayed yung sweldo ng kumpanya. Hindi makasweldo yung kumpanya, wala na siyang pamasahe, paano pa siya makakapasok? Despite the warning, sabi niya, kahit anong warning niyo, wala na akong pera, wala mautangan. So, isang case lang yun, no? And there are other cases pa na legit. So, ang advice naman sa mga employer, investigate first. There might be a good reason. Then you have to exhaust all means to communicate with the employee, then send a message to that employee and giving the person an ultimatum. Now, kapag wala nangyari sa mga ultimatum na to, after your actions to reach the person, hindi nag-prosper, then that is the time that you can make a final judgment and declare that it is a case of AWOL. Para pag may nag-investigate, pwede natin sabihin yun. Kasi marami ng kasong ganyan, sinabi ng employer na AWOL, yung pala hindi. And yung employee na nag-resign, hindi naapektuhan yung kanyang reputation na ipaglaban pa niya at nauwi pa to sa may mga damages. So effect sa employee na nag-AWOL, panalo pa siya dahil naging illegal dismissal pala yung kaso. That's why ang ang suggestion ko sa mga employer, make sure that it is really a case of AWOL, abandonment of work. Yun lang po. Hello,
Okay,
Ma'am
thank you,
Rona.
Yes, we would like to acknowledge the presence of mentors Rona Frentina. Mentor Rona, what's your thoughts
Yes,
about AWOL? Is this
nakahabol
something
ako.
that is AWOL something that really affects your record in applying for a company?
Yes, actually makakaapekto yan lalo na kung yung HR na lilipatan mo ay matindi talagang mag-background check. So it's very important na pag nagre-resign tayo, we really follow kung ano man yung sinet ng batas sa pagre-resign natin. Kasi lalo na pag magaling mag-background check yung, and most companies right now, they really make use of third-party companies to do the background check. Pag na-detect yan na nag-AWOL ka, or iba yung sinabi mo compare doon sa doon sa nakikitang records noong mga third-party companies, that can be used para hindi ka matanggap, and in some cases, para hindi ka ma-regular. Kasi may ibang mga companies na talaga ini-spell out nila na if you have a negative background check, negative results ng background check, that could have an impact on your regularization, and it could be a reason why hindi ka ma-regular. So, hindi naman mahirap, sa totoo lang, hindi naman mahirap mag-resign. It's a common misconception na dapat pag nag-resign ka, you have to spell out kung anong reason. Hindi. Ang kailangan lang is masabi mo kung na gusto mo na mag-resign and kung kailan yung effectivity date. And the effectivity date has to be 30 days from when you filed your resignation. Yun lang ang required ng batas. Kahit na, and if some of you would remember, there was a time when former Vice President Binay filed a resignation. Di ba ang nakalagay lang doon sa letter niya, I resign. Yun lang ang nilagay niya. And that is actually perfectly acceptable. You say, I resign, effective X date. Hindi mo kailangan maglagay ng sobrang habang explanation or kung anong reason kung ba't ka magre-resign. It's up to you. But ganun lang kadali ang pagre-resign. Ang required lang sa'yo is to render the 30 days. And then after that, you're free to go. So I personally don't find the reason why, kung bakit yung iba, parang mas willing pa sila na mag-AWOL kaysa mag-file na lang ng resignation. Kung meron naman kayong pagtatrabahuhan na kagad at kailangan nyo nang mag-start agad, make sure that that company also understands why you need to do the 30 days. I actually have high respects for companies na willing silang mag-adjust pag alam nila na hindi pa nakakapag-file yung tao. Kasi yung mga HR dapat naiintindihan yan eh. Requirement yan sa batas and respeto doon sa panggagalingan ng tao. So, yung pag-aawol ninyo, maaaring maitago niyo yan for some time, pero lalabas at lalabas yan. And it can actually, excuse me for my French, but it can actually bite you in the ass pag hindi kayo nag-render ng 30 days ninyo.
May
So,
question ako.
tama yung sinabi nila ni Mentor Tina and ni Sir Alan. Yes po.
Paano ma'am kung yung resignee 3 weeks or 1 month pa lang siya naka-employ, tapos nag-resign na siya, hindi pa siya regular?
30
Yung
days.
mga madalas
30
sa
days
case wala
30 days
wala
pa
pang
rin.
1 month, nagre-resign na.
Oo.
Like,
30
AWOL
days.
talaga, hindi nga resign AWOL.
Right.
30 days pa rin. Actually, kahit na 1 day ka pa lang, 2 days ka pa lang, always go with the 30 days. Kasi yung namang employer, alam naman nila yan na kung wala ka na may turnover, sila na mismo magsasabi na, oh, you don't have to render the 30 days, wala ka na may
Yun.
turnover. Pwede naman na immediate na. And if kung kailangan mo talaga ng immediate, wala namang hindi nadadaan sa magandang usapan. So, especially if you have a good relationship naman with your boss or with the top management, you can say naman na meron na kasi akong malilipatan, etc., etc. So, if possible, can we shorten that? And if okay yan doon sa boss mo, sa manager mo, then they would most likely give into that kung wala ka namang masyado iti-turn over. Or, para ikaw din mismo hindi ka mahirapan, pwede ikaw na mag-set up ng timeline, ng kumbaga turnover plan mo na I'm planning to do this para hindi na humaba yung 30 days. Is this okay with you? And if your boss says na it's okay, walang problema, kung kaya mo mag-turnover within 15 days, then let's go ahead. We'll do the 15 days. Ganun lang naman yun. Pero regardless kung 1 day ka, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, always go with the 30 days. Kasi yun yung minimum na nire-require ng batas.
At
Ano
sabi mo
ang
nga, pwede naman pakiusapan yung employer na,
Pwede
ma'am,
naman
meron na po kasi
pag-usapan.
lilipatan.
Correct.
ang ano ko lang is you have to note yung wow quote of the week natin, 'di ba? Be careful on what you do. Kasi if ang daming tao because they want to resign immediately, a very common word is I have mental health issues. I can't stand my boss anymore. I can't stand this toxic environment anymore. So I'm forced to resign and render immediate notice. You have to remember, dapat paninindigan mo yan in any other application you make. Whatever reason you assign, if you say, parang, well, kasi hindi ko na kaya, I'm so stressed. If you say that to other employers, it might show that you have you're probably weak in terms of resilience.
Stability.
So, it will be taken against you. I'm not saying na, kasi parang sa'yo, at that moment, sobrang stress na talaga ako. Kailangan ko talagang sabihin yon. But if whatever you said that day might later on, 1 month, 2 months later, nakapagpahinga ka na, tapos maghahanap ka ng trabaho, baka yung ano sinabi mo, nag-resign ka ng immediately, matatandaan talaga yon. Babalik whatever you say, babalik talaga and will bite you nga. Okay? Coach Darwin?
Yeah. Mentors Tina, Mentors Shona, and Mentors Alan already provided inputs regarding the negative aspect of being an AWOL or absence without leave or abandonment of work. From my end, I would just like to remind every employee that when you signed the contract, when you agreed to be hired in the company trusted you. The company was um, very professional, and you actually in a way wanted to be part of the company, right? You've actually applied and asked the company if you can be part of them, and they graciously screened and accepted you, trusted you for that particular position. Now, if you decided throughout your tenure that ayaw mo na, then the best way or the mature way to leave the organization or be separate from the organization is to properly resign and render notice period. Because if you don't render notice period, it speaks a lot on how immature you are as a professional. It speaks a
Professional.
lot on your behavior as a professional wherein you did not give the respect that is due to your employer when during the time you're applying they trusted you. So it speaks a lot about your character, your behavior. So also a reminder to my colleagues in the industry, sabi nga ni Mentor Tina, pag alam ko na minsan naghahabol tayo ng i-hire kasi mayroon tayong projected hiring date. But when we're hiring someone, please, if the person, if the said candidate needed to render notice period to his current company, allow him or her to render notice period. Huwag niyo pong i-pressure na nako hindi hindi ka namin i-hire pag hindi ka makakapag-start ng gantong araw. Ang mangyayari niyan, mag-resign or mag-iiwan na lang si employee doon sa current company niya. It will be a vicious cycle. And I've been seeing this in the industry. Because of our need to hire someone, we disrespect also other companies by hiring the employee immediately and not providing him ample time to give reasonable notice period to his current or previous company. So working both ways, employees, please render proper notice period. Employers, recruiters, please make sure that you respect the notice period that your prospective candidate needs to give to their previous employers. So that's our take for the HR question for the week. Now, Mentor Rona, naging usap-usapan to sa Philippine HR Group. May mga vacancies daw ngayon ng SSS. Baka naman
Yes.
gusto mong ibahagi.
Yes, nakaka-excite ang mga opening ngayon sa SSS. Bigla akong na-tempt na mag-apply at trabaho sa kanila. Dahil meron silang currently 4 senior vice presidents na open na position and 13 vice presidents. At ang salary grade nito ay nasa job grade 18 at job grade 17 from step 1 to step 8 for the 4 senior vice presidents and step 1 to step 8 and for 13 vice presidents at ang salary nito ay nagre-range from 302,000 to about 455. Pero ang tanong ng bayan, saan nga ba pwedeng mag-apply ang ating mga kaibigan at katoto sa HR profession? Actually, ang mga opening po ngayon includes yun pong vice presidents for the internal audit service group, capital markets group, kasama po dyan. Corporate services sector, kung kayo po ay nasa HR, may opening sila sa administration group at saka sa general services division, which is actually swak na swak para sa mga kapatid natin na nasa HR industry. Pwede rin po kung kayo po ay may background, legal background, may opening din sila sa corporate legal services division, vice president for the corporate legal services division at vice president for the operations legal services division 2. At kung kayo naman po ay nasa may bandang South Luzon area, Laguna, in particular, may opening po sila for the Luzon South 1 Division Vice President. Ayan po. At kung kayo po ay interested na mag-apply, punta lang po kayo sa bit.ly/SSS is hiring. Nandun po yung complete list of vacancies po nila at maaari nyo pong isend ang inyo pong application doon po sa email address na naka-indicate po doon, hrrecruitment@sss.gov.ph. Kailangan nyo pong i-fill out yung application. Kung kayo po ay nasa loob na ng SSS, ang i-fill out nyo po is yung application form for promotion or appointment. Kailangan din po ng notarized CSC form 212 or personal data sheet with the latest passport size pictures. Ayan po. So, 2 original po yung kailangan nila. At of course, yung pong work experience sheet. Mag-file na po tayo ng ating mga application kung kayo po ay interesado. Sa mga nag-iisip pa, swak kaya ako sa position na to, matanggap kaya ako, marami pong nararating ang mga may lakas ng loob. So kung interested po kayo, sa tingin nyo naman kaya nyo yung trabaho, go ahead and apply na po sa SSS right now.
I want to add lang po sandali regarding this. Kasi baka nagugulat po yung sambayanan natin kung bakit yung hard-earned money and contributions nila napupunta lang sa pockets ng mga high-level SSS officers na potentially baka may hint of corruption. Let me just add lang po para sa mga taong baka hindi masyadong oriented. These type of salaries are considered to be still okay or average for people with high levels of competencies. In fact, many multinational companies pay these salaries for lower levels. In different parts of the world. You have to understand that qualified applicants are very attractive to all kinds of companies, both local and overseas. So the SSS needs to make the salary grades competitive to attract the best types of candidates to work for the social security system. Understand SSS handles billions of dollars and pensions of working Filipinos. They have to safeguard this. So it's not just people with high levels of competencies, but those who are trustworthy, will not even steal, and dapat you have to sweeten the pot so that they will choose to work here locally than to work abroad. Kasi yung mga ganitong level, hindi talaga pangkaraniwang level. So, even if it sounds parang, mukha na naman tong laptop or camera na mukhang sobrang mahal, please note lang na totoo lang in many different companies, multinational companies, ganito na po talaga yung sahod. I've experienced this as a
It's market
28-year-old in Hong
range.
Kong. So
It's market range,
this
no, Meta Tina?
oo, it's not high. How about that? So I hope this calms
Right.
everyone down na ay mahal naman, dun na pupunta lahat, ninanakaw lang na. It's not true. It's not high for what they are responsible
At
for.
saka ano
Ayan.
ha, ang ating pong gobyerno ay meron pong fixed na salary structure via our salary standardization law at ito po ay
Mm.
public, makikita po ito ng lahat. Fixed po, actually napakaganda nga ng salary structure ng ating gobyerno,
Mm.
napaka-organized dahil gumagamit po sila ng step rate, ibig sabihin may fixed na amount per step and merong fixed na
Mm.
kailangan kang ma-accomplish or kailangan kang may competency para makarating ka doon sa mga steps na yun. So very organized po yan. Kung iniisip nyo po na ito ay masyadong mataas, actually sa akin ha personally, mababa po ito for senior vice
Mm.
president na mga roles.
Mm.
Given
Okay.
yung laki ni SSS.
Next one.
Agree. So, Mentor Rona,
Rona.
another news
Yes.
from SSS.
Yes po. So meron pong announcement ng SSS effective January 2023. Yung ating pong contribution, ilang beses na po nating nabanggit ito na nagtaas na po ng contribution. Ang ating pong SSS for regular employees, employers, self-employed members as mandated by our Social Security Act of 2018. Ayan po. So yung ating pong panibago pong rate for this year, employer side, nabanggit na rin natin to last time, nagtaas na po ito ng 1%. Nasa 9.5% na po employer side. So a total of 14% na po ang kabuuang multiplier natin para doon sa total na contribution ng ating mga empleyado. Nagbago na rin po ang ating minimum and maximum salary credits. So kung last year po ay nasa 3,000, 4,000 na po siya ngayon. At yung ating pong maximum is kung dati po ay nasa 25,000, nasa 30,000 na po siya ngayon. Pero bago po kayo mag-isip na malaki na kagad yung magiging computation for maternity, sickness, etc., ang maximum po na monthly salary credit for benefits computation still remains at 20,000 pesos. Yung pong ating 25,000 at 30,000, ito po ay gagamitin para sa mandatory provident fund. Doon po naman sila nakabase ng computation. But other benefits, 20,000 pa rin po ang ating maximum salary credit. Ayan po.
Agree.
And, syempre po, meron din pong bagong announcement ng SSS kung kayo po ay naiinggit dun sa mga automatic na member ng WISP. Ngayon po ay may chance na rin po kayo na maging member ng WISP dahil meron na pong WISP Plus. Ayan, so ito po ay para naman po sa mga self-employed voluntary OFW members na gustong mag-contribute at maging part din po ng WISP. So on top pa po ito, yung benefits na makukuha nyo dito po sa WISP ay on top pa po dun sa iba pang mga benefits na makukuha nyo under the regular SSS program. So isa na po dito yung inyong retirement benefit. Bale, ang lalabas ngayon is parang dalawa na yung makukuha yung retirement benefit. One under the regular retirement benefit ni SSS and the other one is under the WISP or the Mandatory Provident Fund. Tatlo, pag binilang natin pati yung required or mandated na retirement benefit na shouldered ng company. And apat, pag sinama natin yung contribution nyo sa pag-ibig na po pwede nyo nang i-withdraw pag kayo po ay magre-retire na. So ngayon po ay employers and employee contributing a monthly salary credit of more than 20,000 pesos. Yan po ay automatic sa WISP, pero pag below po, pwede na po kayong mag-apply for WISP Plus. Additional monthly SSS contribution would range from 40 pesos to 200 pesos. Ang magbabayad po niyan ay employee. Yeah, employee, okay. For ER and EE contributing maximum monthly salary credit of 30,000 pesos, hati po si employee and si employer. Pero kung ito po ay 20,000 and below, employer lang po ang mag-shoulder. Kung tama po yung pagkakaintindi ko. Ayan. Okay, pero pwede nyo pong makita additional information po dito sa website po ng SSS. Hanapin nyo lang po yung WISP Plus. So po pwede po voluntary po ito. Hindi po ito katulad ng ating Mandatory Provident Fund for 20,000 and up na automatic nagiging member kayo. Ito po ay voluntary po. Okay? Ayan po. Next.
Okay. This is
Ayan.
also part of this. Now,
Yes.
HCMF Pag-ibig. Pag-ibig Fund finance more than 18,657 homes for low-income and minimum wage earners in 2020. This is coming from the top announcement from the top officials of Pag-ibig. Pag-ibig Funds AHP, ito po yung Affordable Housing Program, is a special home financing program para po sa mga minimum wage earners at low-income members earning not more than 15,000. So kung ang sweldo nyo po ay nasa minimum wage or less than 15,000 a month, pag nasa NCR po kayo, pag nag-loan po kayo sa Pag-ibig, meron imbis na 6% ang inyong interest, ito po ay making subsidized rate to 3% per annum. This is the lowest rate available in the market today for socialized homes, loans worth up to 580,000. At kung kukuha naman po kayo ng socialized condominium units, ito po ay up to 750,000. Ulitin ko po, para po ito sa ang AHP or Affordable Housing Program, AHP, ay para po sa minimum wage earners or below minimum wage. Kung mangungutang po kayo, mag-loan po kayo ng housing, it's only 3%. At ito po ay maximum 580,000 for socialized homes. Pag condo naman, it's up to 750,000. And basically from my experience, maraming tatanong kung kailangan ba ng equity pa mag-a-apply ng Pag-ibig. Alam niyo po, ako po ay nag-apply ng Pag-ibig housing loan at ang sabi po sa akin is pag yung lote ay nakapangalan at meron na kayong titulo na nakapangalan sa inyo, ang mangyayari lang po ay aasikasin nyo lang po yung mga different requirements sa kailangan ng Pag-ibig at pag natapos nyo po ito, sila na po ay magbibigay within 7 to 14 days ng first check na worth 30% of your total loan. So ibig po sabihin, hindi nyo na po kailangan magbigay ng 30% equity kasi as long as nakapangalan po yung lote under your name. So ito po ay welcome improvement kasi yung mga nag-a-apply ng Pag-ibig loan dati iniisip nila hindi na lang muna ako kapag-ibig loan kasi kailangan ko pang bumuo ng 30% ng iloloan ko. Ngayon po hindi na po kailangan kung nakapangalan na po sa inyo yung inyong lote. Okay? Now, also if you are a member of Pag-ibig, inaanyahan po kayo ng Pag-ibig na gamitin ang inyong mga pribilehiyo gamit ang Pag-ibig Loyalty Card at Pag-ibig Loyalty Card Plus. Ang FPG Insurance, nagbibigay po sila ng 20% off on regular premiums for domestic and international travel insurance, while DHL, you can enjoy 10% discount unpublished rates for export shipments, and earn miles to get additional shipping credits. Napakadali po mag-apply ng Pag-ibig Loyalty Card at Pag-ibig Loyalty Card Plus. Pumunta lamang po sa pinakamalapit na Pag-ibig office. Okay? Now, mentors, Alan, mukhang may
Oo,
uh, tayo tungkol sa
may
PhilHealth.
may good news ang PhilHealth, no? Sabi nila there will be no premium increase in 2023. At ito ay ni-reiterate ng PhilHealth at yung kanilang acting president and chief executive officer Emmanuel R. Ledesma. This is in compliance with the directive of the government not to have an increase this year, no? Kasi yung scheduled increase na 4.5% and income ceiling of 90,000 ay sinuspindi na muna. Hindi siya itutuloy. And according to Ledesma, yung pong dating 4% with income ceiling of 80% ay mananatili na ipinapatupad. So that's good news to everybody. The PhilHealth Insurance Corporation last Thursday lang reiterated its commitment to provide financial relief to Filipinos in light of the socio-economic challenges brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic, as it recognized the need to review the current contribution schedule to make it more affordable to many of its direct contributors. So that's good news to all PhilHealth members. Yun po. Back to you, sir.
Alan, meron pang announcement from PhilHealth regarding buwan ng sigurong pangkalusugan. What is this about?
Itong lahat daw po ng Pilipino saan man sa mundo ay insured sa National Health Insurance Program. Yan ay programa naman ng PhilHealth pa rin. At basta Pilipino, kayo po ay garantisadong may health insurance benefits sa panahon ng pagpapa-hospital. So, ibig sabihin ba nito, ito ay especially designed for our OFWs, no? Sir Darwin?
Yes, actually lahat po, kahit po yung mga hindi po nakakapag yung mga yung mga senior citizens natin, yung mga PWDs natin, kahit yung mga uh, uh, OFWs automatic po under the National Health Insurance law ay bahagi na po ng PhilHealth. Now, ang mangyayari po is kahit na hindi pa kayo member, kayo po ay automaticong magiging member ng PhilHealth. Babayaran niyo lang po kung ano po yung annual na annual na dapat yung bayaran para sa contribution nyo. So magiging kayo if hindi po kayo nagtatrabaho, ang patakaran is babayaran nyo lang po yung annual contribution nyo as an individual contributor. Ito po ay para ma-make sure na magamit nyo ang inyong pribilehiyo sa PhilHealth. Napakaliit, at sabi nga ni Mentor Tina sa ni Mentor Rona, napakaliit na halaga pero sa oras sa pangangailangan, magagamit nyo po ang PhilHealth para po mabayaran yung mga pangangailangan nyo pang-ospital at pang-medical. Okay? Mentor Tina, a words from our sponsors, please.
Yes, I want to greet the presence of Lily Clint. Hello, good day. Clint Cajocon of LGU, Polanco, Zamboanga del Norte. Marie Chris Soriano Vinluan is watching from Cebu. Ron Thomas is here watching from Dubai. Loida Zikians, good afternoon. Daia Kapagas. Chris Igual, as are all greet Janelle Consul Perez are all greeting us from different parts of the Philippines. And for our sponsors, we have El Puerto Marina Beach Resort and Vacation Club for all your R&R needs. They have 3 locations. They have in Pangasinan, Boracay. And where's the last one, Coach Dar?
In Palawan.
And Palawan. So if everyone in Philippine HR group has a discount, so before you book, please send them a message to book and tell them that you are a member of PHRG para nakapagbakasyon na kayo pero nakamura pa kayo. Next po. We also have a 15% exclusive discount when you avail of eShield for your company. Just register at the eShield website at www.shield.me/ph-hr to avail of the exclusive discount. eShield is a partner of the PHRG and HR Cafe to promote a healthy lifestyle to your company's employees. Next. We're very excited to announce a partnership with Unicare. It is a rewards partnership tie-up so that PHRG members can get discount to over 70 restaurant partners, 10% discount for PHRG members, absolutely free, no service fee for PHRG members, and the rewards period is only from January 4, 2022 up until July 30, 2023. The next slide shows who are the partner restaurants where you can get 10% discounts. There's No Return, Mr. Korea's Krispy Kreme, Red Ribbon Bake Shop, Kuya J's, JT's, Tapa King, Rue, California Pizza Kitchen, Jinju. They have a branch in SM. Auntie Anne's, The Happy Chef, Go Go Duck, Tipsy Pig sa mga taong nagiinuman, Max, Macau Milk Tea, Don Henrico's Soban Centro, Senor Polo, Annapurna, and a lot of other restaurants. So avail of these discounts. So, 10% sayang din yan, tsaka yung service fee, di ba? So to sign up, you can redeem at unicare.ph/phrg where you will receive an email confirmation, share the code to your co-employees, and avail of the 10% discounts with the other restaurants. O yan. Print it, put it in your phone, put it on your ID para makatipid tayo ng 10%. Hindi naman sinabing para sa atin lang, baka para sa buong grupo pwede ding makuha yung discount. Next po.
Agree. Thank you. If you have any questions, please post them at the main page of the Philippines HR Group Facebook and LinkedIn page. Right now, our Facebook page has more than 287,000 members, and our LinkedIn page is more than 15,000 members and growing. So we also like to encourage everyone to please like our FB page, the HR Cafe, Usapang Trabaho, Buhay Iba Pa. All of our previous um, episodes is already there, as well as our YouTube channel. For sponsorships, please send email to darwinrivers@yahoo.com, or you can message any of the mentors Tina, mentor Sona, mentors Alan, or myself. Also, we would like to encourage everyone, for those who have more than 3 years of HR experience, for HR supervisors, HR managers, that you would like to get your CHRP or your certified HR professional certification, there will be a certification class. This is a face-to-face class here in Manila. CHRP is a globally recognized designation for HR professionals awarded by the Institute of Human Resource of the International Federation of Professional Managers, which is based in the UK. Members of the CHRP Philippines are eligible to apply and be recognized on various AHRI institutes globally, like Canada, Singapore, Australia, New Zealand, and Hong Kong. The face-to-face Philippines HR Group run of the CHRP classes will be on February 18, February 25, and March 4. This is 3 Saturdays, half days only in the morning. If you would like to be part of this certification class, please email us at philippineshrgroup@gmail.com, or check PHRG FB page for sign-up forms. Your mentors, Mentor Shona, Mentor Stina, and other mentors of the Philippines HR Group will be facilitating the CHRP classes, not only here in Manila, but also we also have plans to go to again, and when I say again, because we've had classes in different parts of the Philippines way back prior pandemic. We'll be going to Cebu, Iloilo, Palawan, and hopefully other parts of the country for the CHRP certification. Now, we're at the exciting part of our program. We're in Miss Jen Tongco, one of the participants of the HR Tech Forum that we have held in Singapore, will be discussing about creating impact, how you make a positive influence at work. And I'll be asking Mentor Tina to please properly introduce our guest speaker for today.
We are so happy to have the beautiful Miss Jennifer Tongco to be our guest speaker. She is the founder and CEO of Netrust Philippines Corporation. She is an accomplished woman entrepreneur who has finished her bachelor's degree in manufacturing engineering in management at De La Salle University and finished her executive leadership course at Stanford Graduate School of Business in December 2022. Jen gained global exposure in Hong Kong and in Singapore early in her career, and in 2013, with her vision to uplift the Philippines' cybersecurity resiliency, she founded NetTrust Philippines Corporation, an organization that is now well known in the cybersecurity services space. Armed with 15 years of cybersecurity and business leadership experience, Jen is one of the industry's top resource speakers who talk about cybersecurity and women's leadership in technology. Let's welcome Miss Jen Tongko. Thank you so much, Miss Jen.
Thank you.
Hi,
Thank you.
Jen.
And hi
She told
everyone.
you she's beautiful, di ba? O, di ba?
Thank
Sige
you.
po. We'll be on the background as you present. The presentation's already ready. Ano, Coach Dar? Yan. And then just tell me
Yes.
next so we can support you. Later on, mga guys, if you have any questions for Miss Jen, please leave it on the comment box and we'll read them to her after after her presentation. See you soon.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Tina. All right. Usually I do this talk on a face-to-face. The first time I'm going to do it on a webinar format because I usually prefer like a very interactive kind of discussion. But so I'll try my best to still create an impact in a kind of one-sided kind of conversation. But hopefully later on you will be able to ask some questions and we can interact by that time. Can you go to the next slide, please? Right. Okay. So before I begin, we are at a digital age. I don't know who our audiences are, but let's have like a throwback kind of thing. I don't know if you guys can relate to the picture on the left, but that picture reminds me a lot about my childhood where the Gen Xers will be able to relate, I guess, and the millennials. Um, we used to believe, well, at least I used to believe that if I put that on a cotton and put some alcohol, that if I'm just patient enough, that it will give birth to a lot of other kisses. It's called kisses, by the way, for the Gen Zs, right? It's called kisses, and it smells really good. And we collect that. Usually, the girls collect that. And I waited and I waited and I waited, and somehow it didn't really give birth. I tried to poke it and did everything, but nothing, right? So um, that's part of my childhood. A lot of waiting, a lot of patiently waiting, which is so different from what we are having right now with what my kids have right now. So I just want to do a throwback kind of thing for that. And then another one, when I was in college naman in La Salle, I was living in a dormitory in front. And I already had cell phones, so it's very expensive. It's very expensive to call. And my mom asked me to always call her every time, right? I don't know. I can't remember if it's like every day, just to let her know that I'm okay. So there's always a queue in the dorm. All the ladies would talk to their boyfriends, typically. And I would be lucky if the one in front of me is not having a fight. So there's this one time when, she had a card because you put the card there and you have to wait like 60 minutes or so before that finishes off. And I was so happy when I saw that's just 1 minute remaining. And lo and behold, when the card was already finished, she got another card and continued the fight. You know what I'm saying? But so what's my point here? My childhood and growing up years was all about patience in waiting because what we had then was not very digital. What is very different from what we have today. But today, if we can go to the next slide, it's very different. We live in a digital age, and we are used to using our cell phone for every single thing, online shopping and everything. And even before even before pandemic, there were already a lot of uh, digital transformation happening. Like next page, I think there's Amazon there where um, they have a lot of um, new advances going on. There are the drones. They plan to have the drones deliver the packages if it's not really happening now. There's Tesla. Can you go to the next page, please? Thank you. Um, Tesla having self-driving cars and so on and so forth, right? Next slide, please. Then COVID happened. When COVID happened, we were all forced to accelerate the pace of the digital transformation, right? There already digital transformation happening before, but when COVID happened, all the businesses, next slide please, were forced to adapt and adapt really fast. So what happened was um, all of us had to change the way we're doing things. And that's good because we're able to find alternative new ways of having a meeting, for example. We are now benefiting from work from home because we can talk in, like this. Basically, this is an example. We can share knowledge and our thoughts, me from my own home right now, and you from your own home, and we can still talk. So that's one of the benefits. But there's also a downside because people started to get bombarded with so many alerts. There's some kind of a digital fatigue going on. Next slide, please. Right, and then people fear being replaced by AI and robots. Um, and I don't know. I don't know if you have heard of Chat GPT. I'm sure you have somehow, some time before they have heard of Chat GPT, and I was really amazed by that because you can ask it to, show Chat GPT your past work, and then tell Chat GPT, okay, create a new content for me and about HR, maybe very very specific even, right? So a lot of things has happened, and we are all afraid of what it can do to us. What will it replace us? How do we survive the digital age? Can we survive the digital age? Next slide, please. But Kevin Roos once mentioned, I'm going to read it for you. No matter how good AI or artificial intelligence gets, humans still want role models. And we want to be inspired by human greatness. This is why we cheer for Olympic swimmers, even though speedboats go faster. Why? And this is very true. Um, and the reason being, when I was contemplating on this, is that speedboats are great. I mean, it can go fast. But the difference is the emotions that are tied to cheering for somebody that's very, what do you say? There's a limitation to swimmers, and the fact that that person can be really great, something triggers in our emotions that, hey, it inspires us with human greatness. ChatGPT may be really, really good. It's a game changer and can help us in a lot of ways. But ChatGPT was made by humans, and the way it works, its intelligence is based on what the humans have input into the programming of the ChatGPT. Now the human greatness has still a lot of potential in in thinking and in envisioning something new and something greater than has not been done before. So there are a lot of things that we humans can still do that AI will not be able to do. And it's a shift in the mindset that we should have in terms of how do we address chat gpt or how do we address AI. um, Maybe some jobs will be replaced, but it's not going to be it's a matter of shifting from doing this, and then you're going to be doing something else. You should know how to leverage an AI. So going back, I now invite you, instead of having a mindset of how do I survive in the digital age, we change it. Let's change the ballgame. Let's change the mindset. How do we lead with impact in the digital age? And I emphasize on the word impact. Impact is something that I overly use. I think I'm guilty of overly using it because I want to define impact. Maybe in the next slide we can look at it. If I remember it right, that's the next slide. Can we go to the next slide? Thank you. Okay, so impact could be a verb, could be a noun, is that which creates a strong effect on someone or something. Again, strong effect could be someone or something. When I was thinking about the title of the talk, I was toying around the idea of the word leading. Um, and I know that people might think, oh, it's for leaders. I beg to disagree. Leading with impact is not just for leaders, it's for the everyday people, it's for the normal employees, the fresh graduates who just joined the workforce. It's for every single person in the organization. How do you lead with impact? How do you get on top, in front of everybody in creating an impact, a strong effect on someone or something? That's what I aim to discuss today. What I will share today is not something new, but I'll be able to synthesize different thoughts and insights about things that you guys already know. But I hope that you will be able to understand it a little bit better. And sometimes you just need a little bit of a reminder, right? So, how do we create an impact in the workplace? Again, impact, you know, it's that strong effect. And for me, and this is really my opinion, I created this. You know, you may disagree, you may agree, but this is how I see it based on my years of experience because I like to always observe. I'm a very observant kind of person. I observe things, I observe myself, I observe other people, the employees I've dealt with, I observe my clients because I love talking to people without any agenda. I like talking to them. Maybe the main agenda is really just to learn because for me, whatever conversations I have with anybody, with really anybody, I really try to assimilate everything and form my judgment and wisdom through other people as well as from my learnings from my own experience, right? So for me, there are three types of contributors in the workplace. There's the type A, the type B, and the type C. Now, I don't want to say that we're really labeling a person. Oh, this is a type A, type B, or type C. But I want to say that at some points or different points in your life, in an organization or phases, um, you tend to be a type A, and then you switch to a type B. Hopefully, you don't switch to a type C, but type A, type B, type C. Type C are those that, sad to say, they're under contributors. They could be smart, skilled, and talented, but they are performing below their capability level. For whatever reason, I would not know. There are so many reasons, just like what Tina's mentioned a while ago, mental health issue, or maybe a problem at certain point. I respect all of that, but we call it state a state. So it's a type C at some point or phases in your lives. And of course, there's a type B and type A. Now, this one is very tricky. So the type B for me are those typical contributors. They're smart, they're talented, who are doing solid, if not great work. Like they make the company function, make it stable, sort of, but not really, having an impact, right? Because the type A, these are the people that I'm very, very interested in, the high impact contributors. They are the ones who deliver work with exceptional value and impact. There's a very thin line between A and B contributors because they might look the same, at the onset, but there's a difference. There's a margin, huge margin in terms of the effect. You remember, impact is all about effect that they bring to the table, right? So they may look, sometimes it's hard to determine the A and B at one glance, right? Because both of them are delivering. But I'll show you the difference between A and B later on in the next slides. Next slides, please. So, to create an impact means to be a type A contributor. And ito na nga. Mindset ba? Mindset. So, it all starts with the right mindset, right? And what is that mindset? Next slide. Thank you. I have so many things that I had in mind. Um, but I think these six are the most important ones, right? That I feel that I would want to share and I can communicate with you. Let's start with the first one. Next slide. Thank you, Tina. Okay. The first one, for you to be a type A, no, yung the one with you creates an impact. Explore mindset unang-una. That's the very first thing. You have to have a mindset of I want to learn something new. I want to explore. Can this be done? Can we change the way we do things here in the organization? Right? If why is it done this way? Can we do it this way to improve certain things? Right? Or, like in the text I put there, if you make a small improvement, it can improve our earnings by 5%. Like exploring different ways of doing it. But the type B, they try not to change things. For them, it's like, if ain't broken, don't fix it. And I get that. I really get that. But these people will not change your organization. They will not put your organization to where it can really prosper. They can make things run, but they cannot make an impact. So they're a type B for me, right? Next slide, please. Right, so this is a picture of my daughter. She's my youngest daughter. She was 2 years old at the time. She's now 3. And the reason why I'm sharing this with you because I can see the explorer mindset in her. Usually, you can see it in small children. If you have kids, you would see it in your kids. So at the age of 2, she was able to eat with chopsticks without being taught how to, just by looking at all of us. And she insists. She insisted on using chopsticks, and because she explored, she tried. She said, "Maybe I can do it. If all of you can do it, I can do it too." So she was able to do it on her own to eat the noodles with the chopsticks. I didn't teach her how to. She just had that kind of mindset that I want to learn it. I want to try. I want to explore. And that's the start of doing something good, right? So that's the first one. Number 2. Next slide. Thank you. Thank you, Tina, for doing this. Okay, you can never have an impact on society if you have not changed yourself. So something that you can think about as related to that. So what else can you do with yourself? What kind of learning or how do you explore new ways of doing it? So in the process, you change yourself, and that's the only way you can have an impact on society. Okay. So after having an explorer mindset, it's very important to have a producer mindset. All right. It's the ability to create results. For me, I've encountered employees, like they will tell you everything that they've done. And I was like, okay, sure. They would rant about like, not rant, but they will tell you, oh, I'm very proud of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, I did that, blah, blah, blah. And I would sit there and start to think, at the end of the day, you know, what has what is the effect? What's the result? What did you produce? So it's not about you ticking the check boxes on your task list, right? It's all about just ticking one box. But that box, you strategize and you know that that one will create an impact. So you see here in the type A contributor, he says, I feel great. The task I have accomplished has produced a 10% increase in the revenue. Again, results. The other one's like, I feel good. I have ticked all the boxes of my to do list. Now tell me, which one would you prefer in your organization? Which one do you prefer to work with side by side you in a project? I would like to go with the type A because that one would create an impact, would produce results. The moment you explore, you say, I want to explore if we can do this. And then when you have a producer mindset, you say, okay, if I do this, this should have a result. If I'm ever going to do this, this should have a result. I'm not going to do things which don't have a result. It's a waste of time and effort, right? So another thing to take note of is having a producer mindset. Hopefully it's clear so far. All right. Um, Next slide, please. I'm really having a not difficult time, but I'm it's a little bit different for me because I'm doing a monologue, right? So I don't know if you guys are getting it, but bear with me. I don't know if I'm too fast, but okay, let's see. Third, problem solver mindset. So you see, you've started, you've explored, and then you say, this is the results that I want, and then boom, you encounter the problem. Some are still great with explorer and the producer, but some give up at this stage where you encounter a problem. It now starts with a mindset of how how do you welcome problems and challenges and solve them along the way. When I did this workshop within my organization, they really had an aha moment because they have encountered a lot of problems, and the way sometimes especially if they're young, the mindset is that, oh, I have a problem, I give up, I'm overwhelmed, right? And I understand that. That's the reason why I'm creating this workshop, to make them understand that when you see a bee, there are two ways of seeing a bee. You see a bee and you think, oh my god, like you predict doomsday, like you'll be bitten by the bee and all those things. But sometimes you want to see the bee and say, oh my gosh, where's the honey? Right? Where's the honey in the bee? Right? Sometimes it's all about being able to solve it and see how can I leverage on this. We've had so many client issues in the past. No, not so many, a few client issues in the past. And sometimes those client issues is a good way to showcase how, because sometimes it's not our fault, right? But it's a good way for us to showcase how good we are in solving problems, in solving issues. And instead of looking at it, half glass empty, very cliche naman tayo, but you look at it half glass full, right? So I want to really work with people who knows how to solve problems, because you may explore, you may want results, but when you encounter a problem, boom, you're gone, right? So wala rin, right? So hopefully this one is also part of your portfolio as a type A. All right? You can read the text there, I am sure, so I don't want to read it now. Okay, fourth, communicator mindset. Fair or not fair, I've always mentioned this. I put a premium on communication, mainly because you will not be able to accomplish a lot of great things if you do not know how to communicate. Because part of in anything, in government, in private organization, in non-profit organization, you have to be able to communicate what it is that you're trying to achieve or what you have achieved. Otherwise, you've done something great and it's just lying there and nobody notices it because you don't know how to communicate it, right? And in our organization, after my workshop of creating an impact, we did a second round naman of how to communicate with impact, because I've seen that problem so many times. It's a huge problem in organizations. Communication. If we can even solve it, we solve half of the problem. I usually see something like, oh, why didn't we know about this issue, for example? And one would say, I already emailed it to you, but you didn't read it. Type B, very type B. Why? I've taken it in my class list. I've emailed it to you. I don't care anymore, right? You are the one who didn't read it. But you see, a good communicator would ensure that whatever communication you want the other person to know, to understand, that he or she will understand it the way you do, right? So even like for example, for this one, um, in creating a talk like this, sometimes I'm nervous, and my husband would really laugh at me because he's like, "You're doing talks all the time, and I don't believe that you're nervous." And I was like, "No, I am still nervous because I want to make it work. I want to create an impact for every single time that I do something like this." And not because I did it well in one group, I'll be able to do it well in another group, because it's not about me. It's about the other person receiving it, right? So you understand where I'm coming from. That's the reason why I'm having a difficulty a bit, right? Because I cannot see you guys. But in reality, for me, as a communicator, I always focus on who's receiving my message. Am I being effective? How should I deliver it, right? So dapat ganun kasi. Minsan kasi, in the organization, naririnig ko talaga to. Hindi, nasabi ko na, hindi niya na intindihan. It's up to him. But if you're type A, you email it, you call, then you say, I emailed it to you. I just want to explain how it goes, to make sure that there's no miscommunication. That's it. Simple, something very simple. Just one more step, but it's the impact could be the difference could be firefighting or winning a project, right? So that's why I'm saying, I put a premium on good communicators, because that could change the ball game altogether. Hindi kailangan, sa akin, when they ask me, is it about speaking well in English? No, no, no. It's not about, you can speak well in Tagalog. I don't care if Tagalog, English, Taglish. Of course, sometimes it depends on the audience, right? Again. Pero it's all about how do you make the other person understand what you want them to understand. That for me is a good communicator. All right. Next, please. Thank you. All right, ito. Snakes and ladders mindset. Oftentimes, na-explore. Gusto mo na ng result. Na-solve mo naman yung problems. You're there. You're almost there. You're 90% there. 10% na lang. You're gonna close the project or the task or whatever it is that you're trying to do and trying to achieve. And then, pardon, shit happens, right? It does happen. It really does happen. And when the least you expect it, it really happens, right? It's like parang pinag-anuhan ka ng tadhana. Parang, why me? Right? Bakit ako pa? Right? Bakit ngayon? Right? It's there. And I don't know if you guys know snakes and ladders, but I used to play that as a kid. It's wherein you're already on the 97 or 98, and then there's a snake. Because a snake is where you go down and go back to, I don't know, number 3 or number 4. And it's like, whoa, parang gumuguhol at ang pangalan kasi bababa ka kaagad eh. Bababa ka ng bigla. And that happens. That happens more often than we want it to happen, but that happens. Now the question is, what do you do? What do you do when that happens? And that's the reason why ito yung tinatawag na resilience eh. I heard Tina say something about resilience a while ago. I was listening to the pre-talk, no? And this is where resilience comes in. How do you manage it? Will you just give up? Or you say, tuloy na natin, andyan na eh, kahit na walang impact? Or are you the one who say, no, I have to do it from scratch again. Otherwise, I don't want to do a half-baked kind of thing. Well, I mean, may na-realize ko, may mali pala. Or new information, new data, or new event that happened, which changes it, na mawawala na yung impact ng project, right? Are you willing to go back to 1, to 0, and start all over? Do you see that you can have the ladders anyway? Kasi ginawa mo na eh. So, mas mabilis na yun. You can see, kasi it's one way of doing it. Are you looking at all the snakes lang? Or also seeing the ladders? Diba? It's for me better to create something that has an impact rather than do something, a project. In the end, parang, why did we even do this? Right? what is this? What is this? What is why did we even do that? Right? So the snakes and ladders mindset is the ability to reset and start from scratch if needed, just to make sure that the output creates an impact. Right. Next. Thank you. Um, Connector mindset. And I think this is the last, if I'm not mistaken. This is my last but not the least. If I were to say this is one of the most important, you may have had a project, you explored, you produced, you solved the problems, you're able to communicate it well, um, you're able to start again from scratch, nandun na ka na sa dulo, and you're able to finish it. But at the end of the day, it does not connect with people. It does not, because remember, impact is having an effect on someone or something. Maybe you had an effect on something, you change the tool, but at the end of the day, you have to understand, does it create an impact on people? How did you impact people? For example, this Philippines HR group. Um, I've been silently reading a few comments here and there whenever I have the time. And a while ago, I was listening as well to the talks, and I know that whoever started it, I think Darwin and the rest, Mentor, Tina, Rona, Alan, and the others who I hear or I read from the FB page, um, they have created an impact. It's not about just creating an HR page or creating an HR group that does not do anything. It's like taking a checkbox, right? Oh, I've done that. But it's not about that. And I've seen it. I've seen the impact on people of the Philippines HR group because sometimes I read the comments of they have a question, they're able to answer them, and it's a relief for all of them. And 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 I commend you for doing this. This is a very, very good example of leading with impact in your industry. You're able to you explore, you produce results, you solve problems maybe along the way. I don't know, I'm not privy to that. But at the end of the day, you're able to create an impact, even to me. Ngayon, alam ko na may 10% discount ako sa Tapa King. So when I go to Tapa King and I order Tapa Queen, then I can have a 10% discount. So that's already impact. I mean, that's just on the lighter side. But the impact I have is even as a CEO, I'm not an HR practitioner, right? Of course, I have my very good HR people with me. But sometimes, I also, sometimes kung wala namang issue sa amin, so hindi naman lalabas yan, right? But sometimes when I just listen to the talks or listen to a few things, I learn something new. So that's a positive impact for me in being able to do my job as a CEO well, right? So it's very, very important for us to have a connector mindset. Let's not remove that from the equation because you may be great. You may be able to do a project and things like that. And in the day, if it doesn't have an impact on people, maybe we should look at it differently on how we can do that, right? Even like, so it doesn't have to be something related. I mean, when your colleague is having a problem, you see, that they are a contributor, and then you just suddenly saw them na parang lacking enthusiasm. Sometimes, tara kape tayo. Could already make an impact. Yun pala, meron lang siyang problema like that, and you, being that colleague, was able to help and bring her back to sanity, so to speak. Kasi minsan kapag sobrang daming problema, daming nagka-clutter, right? So, something as simple as that. It doesn't have to be, don't think of being a type A as something that super great. Sometimes just doing one single thing differently will create an impact. I'll give you an example. I had an employee where support, fresh grad siya, and he was able to support the client well. Before, the client was a bit, parang um, vexed a bit, na? But with his very, talagang follow up siya, very simple lang. Follow up, follow through on all the issues. And the client was really very, very happy. See, something simple, but a type A kind of mindset where you're able to create an impact to the customer because sometimes just listening to them would already create an impact. So this is not just for leaders, it's not about the huge projects, but it's about the everyday life. How do I create an impact at the end of the day? How do I, you're occupying a space in whatever it is, in your organization, in your family, in a nonprofit organization, whatever, you're occupying a space. What are you doing with that space? So you have to ask yourself, is that space better occupied by somebody else? Because if you're creating an impact, then you deserve that space. You deserve to be in that space. Because once you leave, you're going to create a hole. And that's what type A contributors do. They create a hole when they leave it because they have created an impact. I'm not talking naman about na you're not, yung parang nagiging dependent lang sa your organization, you're not doing all the process para ikaw pag umalis ka mawawala. It's not about that. But it's really about them missing you because the way you look at things is different. The way you create an impact is really different. Next slide, please. Sabi nga ni Chef Heiklen, recognize that every interaction you have is an opportunity to make a positive impact on others. Game changer, when you look at, let's pause there for a while, and I want you to really read it. I want you to understand what it means for you. Every interaction you have is an opportunity to make a positive impact on others. I hope that this one that I'm doing right now is already creating a positive impact on even just one person here. So every interaction that you make, I hope that inspires you tomorrow, starting your week, and see things in a different light, in your organization. How do I make an impact? And maybe you will see things differently. And as a closing slide, next slide, please. I want to leave you with a question. I want you to ask yourself today, what impact are you making on people in your organization and in this world? Are you occupying that space and creating that kind of hole if you leave? That means you have left a legacy, right? Again, it does not have to be super great. It's what you do on every single day, right? And what you do every single day, it adds up and that creates an impact. And with that, that ends my presentation. I don't know, I hope that you're able to get something out of it. And I'd like to really thank the Philippine HR group, Darwin, Tina, Rona, and Mentor Alan as well, in inviting me and sharing this to every one of you. And I hope that it's worth your while today. Again, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Miss Jen. Naku, napakaganda ng iyong sharing. Mentor Tina, ano po masasabi mo sa ating guest speaker for today? Ang dami kong natutunan.
Miss Jen, would it be possible for you to tell us how our viewers can contact you and for what purposes? What sort of activities you have in the future? So, diba, it's a way for you to connect and at least tell us what your company is also all about.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mentor Tina. Okay. Again, I am the CEO and founder of Netrust Philippines Corporation, it's a cybersecurity company. Of course, my interest lies around that. So if you can follow me on LinkedIn. I do post certain things about leadership and about work and things like that. I also post a lot of things about cybersecurity. So if you have questions about cybersecurity, I'm very much willing to answer. I don't know all the answers to everything. My guys mostly know that, but I can try to answer some of those. Or if you have questions about organizations as well, I'm not gonna be able to answer everything. Again, I don't know a lot of things, but I am very observant and I try to learn every single day. So you can ask
Okay.
me anytime. Yeah.
We have a question on the floor, but I'll add to that too. Alexer Flores gave a good point by saying it's quite risky to create impact if the organization doesn't want to change. And the question I'd like to share is 'Di ba kasi there's some people who feel that every time they want to create an impact for others, they're always met with the blank wall. There's always obstacles around the way na parang my family don't want me to do this, my boss don't want me to do this, my wife don't want me to do this. What would be your advice to well-intentioned people who want to create an impact but seem to find that they have many personal issues or organize or work issues that stop them from doing so?
Thank you for that because I remember nga, there could be issues like that. Kasi I want to add on to what I mentioned a while ago. Not creating an impact is not saying or exploring, di ba? We have an explore mindset. It's not about you just doing whatever. Oh, I want to explore. Jen told me I can explore, like we have to have that kind of explore mindset. But you have to also understand in any organization, depends on how big or small. It's even more difficult if it's bigger, right? Because they have already set standards and they're maintaining that. But what you have to keep in mind is that you look at risks as well. You don't remove risk from the equation. And that's what the leaders usually look at. They like innovation, but sometimes they would also manage it. How risky is it? Or do you need money for that, right? Because, oh, I want to innovate, I want to do this. Okay, the way leaders would think is, okay, what's the worst that could happen? So you should be able to address those. So you don't just say, hey, I have a big idea. It's up to you to figure it out, if there's a risk. So you go up there, you do your homework, you say, this is what I'm planning to do. The risk that I see is this, and this is how I plan to manage the risk. And you make it small risks at first, and you say, we'll do phase one so that if it doesn't go well, this is just the risk that you're taking, right? And once
Mm,
it goes well, then we do this and we do this, right? But again, I recognize that still, even if you do that, other leaders are still
mm,
not comfortable. And maybe you're in the wrong environment already. If you're the
mm,
explorer, right? So you have to
mm,
think.
mm. So what you're telling us is that if you want to change the organization, you have to take baby steps. And it has to start with you in proposing a path for
Hmm.
change. Kasi a lot of employees, they are magaling sila number one in complaining. We need to improve the bathroom, we need to improve, the aircon, we need to improve the leadership skills of our toxic managers. But there's not a lot of them are solutions. So what Jen is reminding everyone is when you present a problem to the boss, also propose a reasonable solution, hopefully with some research on how much it will take. Kasi ayaw ng bosses ng problema, gusto nila ng solusyon. And if you actually hand over the solution to them in a silver platter, lalo na pag walang bayad, then
Oh,
bosses usually love that. 'Di ba? Or
yeah.
maliit lang ng bayad, like if we do this will create that. But many of us kasi don't want to parang say that out loud kasi natatakot tayo 'pag hindi naging successful yung plan, baka tayo pang mapahamak. But if it's worth the change, it's worth the risk, 'di ba? Kasi if you don't do it, who else will? Might as well start with you.
And
Yeah.
I think,
Next.
Mentor Tina, importante din yung we also need to know how to prioritize things. Kasi may
Mm.
mga tao na they would want to have an impact. And they are, alam mo, yung parang trial and error that they would want to do so many, many, many things,
Ah, yes.
impactful things, na at the end of the day, because they're spreading themselves too thin, hindi
Mm.
na nila actually, wala na talagang nagiging follow through. Kasi burnt out
Mm.
from all of these things that they would want to happen. So yung mga leaders and people and employees who would want to make an impact, we also have to be smart about where we put our energy. Kasi you want to make an impact, pero kung sasabay-sabay mo naman yung 5 impactful things all at once, baka
Mm.
ang mangyari is walang maging impact lalo at magulo mo lang instead of you really actually making an impact. Baka mas mag-backfire pa siya sa'yo. Diba?
Pero
And,
hindi ba
and
nakakatakot 'pag bata kunyari mga newly graduates, yung mga young ones, 'di ba they're very optimistic, full of hope, they want
Yes.
to create an impact. How do they start? Kasi how did you start? How did you guys start? Mga mentors, how did you guys start creating an impact? Kasi nakakailang minsan mag-start kasi sometimes the older people will discourage you and say, nagmamagaling ka.
Unahin natin si si Mentor Alan.
Sa experience ko, hindi ako masyadong namroblema kasi I started in an organization na very traditional at saka maraming problema. Buti na lang, I am oriented in, kasi sa education, yung organization development, tsaka organizational psychology, they really need that. In other words, I was at the right place at the right time. Kaya ang dami ko
Okay.
agad contribution. They need somebody inside the organization na mag will act as an organizational doctor. So I was able to diagnose the problem, na present ko sa kanila scientifically, and what are the best recommendations that we can do as interventions. Kaya
Hmm.
the impact during my first few jobs, hindi ko masyadong pinoblema. Ang inaalala ko, yung mga young ones ngayon, they're so impatient that kapag hindi nila
Mm.
maramdaman yung impact nila, they
Mm.
easily decide to resign.
Oo.
Isang bata, tatanong doon, "O ba't ka magre-resign?" "Sir, hindi ko maramdaman yung impact ko, eh." "Ilan buwan ka na ba ilang taon ka na ba sa kumpanya?" "Sir, 2 buwan pa lang." Kaya naman pala, eh. 2 buwan pa lang nag-iisip ka na ng impact. You really have to be patient. Yung young ones na nakikinig,
Mm.
you have to be patient kasi your time will soon come. Yun lang yun.
Mm.
Correct,
Miss
correct.
Jen?
Yeah,
Miss Jen, your
so
thoughts?
yeah, tama naman yun, no? It's very difficult sometimes to balance it. Na parang, oh, I want to make an impact, pero you should also learn how to do your stuff first, di ba? Especially when you're a fresh grad, how you create an impact if the knowledge is lacking, right? Starts with the knowledge because the impact happens sometimes when you're synthesizing all the knowledge that you've had. Because if you want to create result, it starts with having the skills to do your job, di ba? Doesn't have to be big things naman talaga eh. Hindi kailangan sobra. Yun yung, maybe that's what the Gen Zs need to understand. The impact is not about making, having those buzz, right? It's
Mm.
about
Mm.
everyday thing that you do that creates an impact. Yun yung in-explain ko kanina. Yung support person ko is just doing his job well. Then it already create an impact to our client, right?
Mm.
So,
I think that people have to recognize as well that they first have to earn their dues. Not earn their dues in terms of position, but earn the respect of the people around them. Because if you're new in the company, people don't know who you are. And they want to get to know you first. And
mm,
it's not just about being technically qualified, but also competent. Because if you're creating impact, but you really don't know what you're doing, that impact will fall flat in your face and you might get disappointed. But it's just because kasi, parang 'di ba minsan sinasabi nga hindi mo pa alam, hindi mo naiintindihan yung buong scenario, tira ka ng tira. Sana pagmasdan mo muna para 'pag tumira ka, talagang matatamaan. Kasi ang hirap talaga 'pag gawa ka lang ng gawa at sabi nga ni Mentor Rona, you're all over the place. And afterwards, you're not doing the work that they hired you to. Masyado kang nagko-crusade pero yung talagang trabaho mo, nakakalimutan mo na, and that's disappointing for your colleagues kasi you were trying to create impact but the work that naiiwan naman sa kanila. 'Di ba? Miss Rana?
and just to add on a bit, that's where also knowing how to communicate it well.
Mm.
Also is very helpful. Kasi sometimes if you have something in your mind, hindi mo
Mm.
communicate well, sometimes the leader's like, huh, what are you trying to do? Right? You should be able to communicate it well. Yeah.
Agree, agree. Totoo naman yan, totoo ang sinabi ni Miss Jen and tama rin yung yung iba kasi sa atin, I think siguro yung sa mga earlier generations, ano kasi tayo, sinuwerte tayo na yung Gen X pabalik and yung mga early part millennials, nasanay kasi tayo and when we started with the workforce, wala pa talagang masyadong automations, wala pang computers,
Mm.
wala pang ganyan. So talagang alam mo yun, hindi naman sa walang-wala, pero kumbaga ito pa yung mga panahon na hindi lahat ng tao sa kumpanya merong sariling computer. I mean, kumbaga may schedule kayo na kung sinong pwedeng gumamit. So natuto tayo ng patience. And natuto tayo
Mm.
to learn things first. And then nung nakikita na natin na, ito, sure akong problema to, we started na, alam mo yun, natuto din tayo ng kung paano lumapit sa mga boss na, boss, this is causing a problem and I think this is what needs to be done. Unti-unti nating tinake yun. Hindi nangyari to overnight. At least for the older generations, hindi to nangyari ng overnight. Kasi we had to build muna yung kumbaga documentation natin para mapakita na may problema nga. Ngayon kasi, since everything is automated, parang lahat gustong excited kagad na, ito okay itong automation na to, ito masosolve ito yan, ito po pwede natin gawin itong ganito. And then susugod agad without really understanding the whole picture. And that is very important. Siguro si Mentor Alan Sinwerte siya na nando'n siya sa isang organization na talagang equipped na siya at that time and maganda yung opportunity para ipakita niya or mag-problem solving siya at magbigay ng mga solutions. In my case, siguro sa akin, natuto ako dahil yung mga, alam mo yun, yung problema, pag nakikita ko na yung mga pinagdaanan kong problema before, pag naiinis ako, ang unang kong kinakausap palagi yung boss ko, na parang, hindi ko magawa to eh. Ito yung gusto kong mangyari, hindi ko magawa. So, iniisip ko ganito gagawin. And I was fortunate enough na magkaroon ng mga boss na very open. Siguro tama din yung sinabi ni Miss Jen na communication is very important. If you cannot communicate, ano yung problema, ano yung nagiging, or what's bothering you, if you cannot communicate that to your boss, then your boss cannot also give you, kumbaga, parang authority to work on a project. I think I was fortunate enough na nakakausap ko sila kagad kahit na mas senior sila, pero alam mo yun, they take the time to listen to me at nakakapag-come up kagad kami ng solutions. And they were very gracious enough na sabihin sa akin na, sige, projectin mo yan. Ayan ang project mo. I'll give you 3 months. Let me know kung ano results yan. And then, if okay yan, let's implement that company-wide. I was fortunate enough to come across such bosses. Which actually brings us, dahil naalala ko lang, topic natin is a wall, yung mga fresh grad ngayon, yung mga papasok pa lang sa workforce, and I know that a lot of you would like to work to support your family, titignan nyo rin kung saan kayo mag-a-apply. Pag-aralan nyo, wag ka rin kayong magmadali. I was fortunate with the companies that I've worked for because I took the time to really see and understand if this company is in line with what I want to accomplish and the values that I have. Pag meron kasing alignment, mas madali yung trabaho. Hindi ko sasabing walang problema, pero kumbaga, mas madali mong makakausap yung boss mo, mas madali yung trabaho, at mas masaya yung magiging experience mo. Of course, there were some companies that I've worked with na hindi ganun kaganda, pero kumbaga early on pa lang, nakikita ko na kagad. So, but alam ko na kung ano yung magiging options ko. So, yun naman yung masabi ko. Mentor Tina, ikaw, ano pong
Yes,
ano mo?
we have comments from the floor. Doors Dado says, wow, yes, malaki ang impact, malaking bagay. Di nasayang ang aking Sunday watching this live. Alexa Flores again said, management of change / process safety management. Sam Santiago, a good friend of mine, said, this is inspiring. What a great reminder why we are here, that more than being successful in our career, touching people's lives and making an impact is what really matters. The next question we have is, di ba when you're doing impact, you usually do more than what you're asked for. Kasi it's not just about your job description. You want to make a difference on other people's lives. But not everybody's like that, especially in an organization. May mga tao ding walang masyadong pake. So yung mga taong excited, na gusto magkaroon ng impact, gusto tumulong ng iba, they're usually the ones who are given more work. Hindi ba parang lugi yun? Sometimes if you do that for a few months, ay okay lang kasi I wanna create an impact. I'm seeing positive change. Pero later on, with a lot of disappointments, kasi it doesn't fall perfectly every time, how do you keep motivating yourself to create an impact when in your group of people or in your company, not everybody has the same mindset as you do? Jen? Miss Jen? Medyo mute.
Sorry. For me kasi, in terms of creating an impact, no, it's not about taking on more work as,
Mm.
outside your job description. But for me, what I'm really trying to say is, whatever you're tasked to do, sometimes talaga mag extra mile ka, no? But it's not about you doing the work of others because they are incompetent, so to speak. It's not about that. Then you're being sort of a doormat na, pag ganon. But what you're trying to do is the shift in mindset that I want you guys to understand is this is my job. How do I do it well in such a way that at the end of the day, the results I have is very impactful? Sometimes it's tweaking the way you would do something, or sometimes it's looking at a different metric, focusing on the results, producer's mindset, focusing on what you should change in such a way that would create an impact. Now, to address the other people, sometimes if you really focus on the others, there's nothing that's going to happen to you. It's really all about yourself, because anything that you do, I would always say this, you still invest in you. Even if it also benefits the organization, it benefits you as well. It's no secret. It's an open secret that whatever you do, sige, maybe I'm doing an extra mile for the organization because I'm learning this something that, hindi naman ko talaga nasa ano ko to, pero I'm trying to learn it for them, right? To create an impact. But that learning is already part of you. And the next organization that you join, if ever, if you decide to, might be the stepping stone for you to be recognized as a VP, for example, or the next step or the next ladder, right? So instead of focusing on what the others, although I understand, hindi naman bed of roses, sometimes it has an impact. Others, what others do. It's easier if the others will be able to help. Kaya minsan, yung influences, nandun nga yung communicator na naman eh. How do you influence others? Yun yung leader. How do you lead others to see what you're seeing? Di ba? Yung vision mo na ito, pag ginawa natin ito mga dudes, di ba? This is what's gonna happen. Let's do this. Right? If you can do that, yun part pa rin ng impact yun. Communicating it well.
And impact doesn't have to be very grand naman, di ba? Na-recall
Yes.
ko lang yung isang story. Hindi ko maalala ko anong airlines ito, but I think one of the employees thought about changing one item in the menu. And I think they took out the lettuce or
Probably
something.
lettuce.
Yes, the lettuce, sorry. They took out the lettuce and ang laki nung naging impact niya. So, di ba parang kung iisipin mo, kung short term yung pananaw mo sa buhay, parang iisipin mo, anong mangyayaring pagbabago pag tinanggal ko tong lettuce. Pero pag tinignan mo siya ng long term, ang laki pala nung natipid noong airlines na yun by simply removing that one item. The same is true with impact. It doesn't have to be very grand. It can be a very, very small thing at this point. Pero ang impact niya, sabi nga nung isa doon sa comment section natin, di ba? Ripple effect yan eh. So, pwedeng maliit na bagay, pero malaki yung magiging impact niya because it's something that can be sustained long term. So, yun.
There's also comments then, diba, in the, to make an impact, make sure you know yourself well enough as your skills, time, and capability. Diawana says, as an HR, how can engagement/activities be considered to have an impact on employees? Is it about engagement and activities, Coach Alan? Kasi you do it and then, Jen?
Sorry, again, can you repeat?
As an HR, how can engagement and activities be considered to have impact on employees?
Yan. Ako, very, yan. Yun nga, isa sa example ko na, for example, you're an HR person, no? And then you create an engagement. Doesn't necessarily mean you have an impact already. It's not just a tick in the checkbox. Kung sabi mo, basta I completed a team building exercise, done. Right? As
Mm.
HR practitioners, you have to understand, di ba, what kind of activity should I do to have an
Mm.
impact? For example, kami more Gen Zs, right? If
Mm.
we do activities that's more, Gen X,
Mm.
there's not much of an impact, right? So you have to understand your audience. For engagement activities, you have to understand the audience. What makes them tick? What makes them understand things more? But I mean, I'm not an HR practitioner. I think maybe you guys are more
Coach Alan?
Yeah.
Para sa akin, ano yan eh. Tama naman si Madam. No? Ang nakita ko dyan, any engagement activities should be able to trigger insights among the participants. Kapag
Mm.
fun lang siya, nagsayang na kayo ng oras. But if the activity triggered a lot of introspection, reflection, and insights. Marami silang natutunan na, o nga, no, self-awareness, ganito pala ako. O nga, nagsaya kami, but I learned today na I can contribute more in the company's objectives kung we don't work as silos but rather as collaborative teams. Something like that in a team building. Kasi
Mm.
maraming team building ngayon, puro laro-laro lang eh. If you're able to make employees realize that you're not just having fun, guys, we are learning at the same time the dynamics of organization by playing these activities. If you can create that a scenario where they will be able to reflect, learn a lot of insightful ideas that they can apply back to work, yun ang impact. Hindi lang sa employees, but at the same time sa organization.
I interviewed somebody today. Sabi ko, bakit ka naglilipat? Sabi daw niya kasi kulang daw ng seminars and mga leadership seminar, yung leadership team building si management. Sabi ko, actually, that's not true. The impact of an HR is not in conducting engagement and activities. It's in actually on how they deal with employee problems from day to day. Kasi no matter how big or how grand your team building or raffle might be, pero pag may problema sa company, may problema yung tao, kunyari sa payroll niya, tapos hindi mo pinapansin, hindi mo inasikaso ng maayos, may away-away sa loob ng team nila, tapos bibigyan mo lang ng memo, hindi mo man lang siya kausapin to find out who's telling the truth or not, that sort of impact gets lost because people know that you're doing the job procedurally, following due process. What people care about is HRs who really care about them and their issues as if these problems are the HR's problems, like personal problems. If we treat yung sahod nila or overtime computation or yung problema nila with their toxic boss as if we're having the same type of problems, I think people will not care too much about the team building because they know that the authorized representatives of the company really care for them. The challenge is, yung mga HRs ba ninyo, let's answer it properly may pake ba? Kung may problema, gaano sila kabilis mag-solve ng problem? Are we having, yung sinasabi nga ninyo Ma'am Jan kanina, yung production-based, yung result ba? Kasi minsan when you talk to HRs, binigyan mo ng problema, mas problema kung hindi na isosolusyon din ng HR yung problema, yung I'll escalate it to upper management or I'll find out more about it, tas hindi ka babalikan. 'Di ba, isn't it becoming more disappointing when you keep on saying you will help others, tapos yung pala hindi? And what sort of impact does it mean for the company itself if the management are all puro salita lang, walang gawa? Do you find that when you do when you diagnose company problems, that it seems that the employees don't really feel management's presence is there? So nade-demoralize sila. Ano Rona, 'di ba? Yung mga companies na tinitignan mo, kasi Rona's Uprush also looks into companies, they do consultancies. Pagpasok nila, puro problema sa loob ng company. 'Di ba? Both sides. Employers hate employees, employees hate employers. Rona, how do you diagnose?
Actually, alam mo, dun sa topic na yan, isa lang siguro yung mga napapansin ko palagi. Pag pumupunta kami sa kliyente, tapos yung kliyente is sobrang dami ng problema. Oftentimes, the HR themselves is either one, overwhelmed, or two, kumbaga, parang wala masyadong pakialam. Yung tipong
The
pasa lang.
problem. HR
Oo.
is the
May mga
problem.
ganun eh. Actually, may mga ganun kami na nakikita na pasa lang ng pasa dun sa top
Mm.
management. Tapos pag binalikan sila yung nung top management, ang sasabihin lang nila sa employees are, yan kasi yung policy eh. So yung ganun. And relating that to the topic that we have today, I think one of the things that most HR professionals have to learn is yung kung paano sila magiging impactful by taking accountability. Kasi pag yan kasi yung policy eh, you're not creating impact. You're actually lessening your authority as HR. na parang yung ang datingin sa mga employees, ba't wala kang pwedeng gawin? Eh, di ba ikaw yung HR? Di
Mm.
ba? Which is also related dun sa mga mabilis na umalis na mga HR. And di na alam mo to, we keep seeing a lot of this post in Philippines HR group na ayoko na, pagod na ako, etc. etc. Aalis na lang ako. Na pag tinanong naman sila kung ano yung nangyari, ano yung details, biglang ang lalabas lang is, eh kasi nagalit yung boss ko. Ba't nagalit yung boss mo? Hindi ko kasi nasubmit ito on time. Na-delay ako. Bakit na-delay? Ilang beses na-delay? 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Walang boss na matutuwa pag palagi kang delayed. Walang boss na matutuwa na pag palagi kang late. So yung stress na nararamdaman mo is actually you not also taking accountability for your actions, which now also makes you someone na hindi makagawa ng impact sa organization. So alam mo yun,
Mm.
parang medyo related siya eh. And we see a lot of that. And HR people have to learn that. You have to, if you want to make an impact, isa yun sa mga kailangang matutunan. You take accountability for your actions. If you're late, take accountability for that. If you did something wrong, take accountability for that. Do not let the employees or do not leave the employees hanging. Yung tipo bang hindi mo babalikan, hindi ka magbibigay ng rejection letter, or sasabihin mo lang na it's out of my hands, yan kasi ang gusto ng top management. You're the face of the top management. So how do you make or create a balance between the employee's experience and the manager's experience? How do you do that? You do that by taking accountability for the actions that you've taken, or at least, 'di ba? Take certain steps, guide the
Mm.
managers, guide top management para pare-pareho kayo na nasa win-win situation. Hindi yung tipo bang pasa na lang kasi hindi naman ako nag-decide niyan eh. So yun yung
Mm.
palagi namin na napapansin dun sa mga
Mm.
clients namin na ang laki-laki ng problema nila sa HR.
Sabi nga ni Alexa Flores, not choosing is still a choice. Escalating it to management and doing nothing about it is also a choice. And washing your hands clean. Mukhang ang peg, may ginawa ka, pero actually wala, pinasa mo lang sa iba. Yun naman yung... Pero I'll state the fact here is that Miss Jen, Alan, and then Rona are all impact producers, and they're creating impacts not just today but every single day, and in the past pa, even before PHRG happened. My question is are people who create impact born or made? What is it that triggered for you to do things for others? Kasi we know that you are people of who want to create impact and do create impact every day. But what triggered you? Because we want to know on how we can train others to be like you guys as well, 'di ba? How do you train your colleagues, or how do you train your team leaders to be like you? Was there a trigger that made you the person you are today, Miss Jan?
That's a
'Di ba? Saan nagsimula 'yun? I'm sure nung bata ka pa ganyan ka na eh. Feeling ko by born eh, 'di ba? Paglabas pa lang yan, gusto na tumulong sa nanay. Yun ang feeling ko. Pagdating sa school, magka-class president yan. Pagdating sa college, magko-group president yan. Sigurado, I feel like that. Pagdating sa first job, pag may kahihingi ng volunteer, mag-volunteer yan sa outreach. I feel that way. Is it really born or made?
that's a very insightful and difficult question at the same time. Something that I also think about most of
Hmm.
it. Right?
Di ba?
Think, I think there are people who are really, let's say, born because of what they see, and there's an inclination towards that. Let's just say. But I also want to say that para leaders lang, diba? Leaders are, they say, are both born and
Mm.
made, right?
Mm.
In my case, for example, um, at 11 years old, I'm already reading, how to be an achiever, right? So
Mm.
sometimes it starts with an early age, right?
Mm.
Um, but for example, what I do with my employees is that, so I do something like this.
Mm.
And after I've done this training with them, I saw the impact already.
Mm.
There's a buzzword in the office, and they're saying, oh, ikaw type A, oy, type A, gumaganyan sila, type A, oy, type B ka, mag-type A ka. And they become more aware, because it
Mm.
starts with awareness, right? It starts with awareness na, ito pala, kasi diba, sometimes we're not aware. We're just doing things. We're type B and we feel that we're doing great. But sometimes if somebody tells you, um, you know, the way you would look at it differently, like, are you creating an impact? Then mapapatigil ka. And mapapaisip ka. It's very important for you to be surrounded by people who challenge you. You know, something like this, di ba? To challenge you that, hey, are you creating an impact? Right? It's very
Mm.
important for you to be friends, so to speak, with people who also want to do something great, right? So, for example, being in this group will create an impact already too, because like-minded people sort of stick together and they create more good things together, diba? So it starts with being with the right people, reading the right kind of books. I feed my mind with a lot of things that will nurture it. Diba? I read a lot of those books. Sabi mo na self-help, right? But in terms of creating change in leader organization, so it's very important as well what you do with your time. And of course, then third would be, hey, what do you want? Sometimes, iba-ibang phase dumadating sa buhay. Right?
Mm.
Hindi na minsan pwedeng ipwersa. Some things will trigger it. Maybe talking to one person would trigger it, maybe a life changing situation would trigger it. But as long as you do things, I mean, you start to go towards that kind of journey, then maybe you will be in that path sooner or later. That's right.
Mm. Coach Alan? Muted.
Sa akin kasi ano eh, tama yung sinabi ni Ma'am. And additionally, it's para sa akin it's both, no? It is both born and made. Kasi it can be learned naman eh. May mga tao lang talagang pinanganak na malakas ang loob. Siguro nasa genes na yan o minana sa traits ng mga magulang. And merong iba mahihain. But as they grow older and become exposed to different responsibilities, they learn how to create impact based on their experience lang. Pero the bigger question really is how can organizations help people
Mm.
um, learn how to make impact? Paano
Mm.
kung ang organization mo ay hindi conducive for that kind of challenge? The environment is so stifling. Alam mo na, yung bang masyadong sarado sa growth. Walang growth mindset kasi siguro yung culture nila. Yun ang problema because sabi mo nga, may mga people who are born with it already, people who have learned how to make impact or create impact in the organization, but their organization itself is not conducive to that kind of behavior. Kaya nababansot yung growth. Sayang.
Mm.
For example, among HR practitioners, ang dami-dami natin mga HR practitioners na ang frustration nila, hindi nila maramdaman yung impact. Hindi rin nila kasalanan eh. It's their
Mm.
job description, it's their organization, it's the boss na masyadong maigpit na may performance ceiling ang tawag doon. Huwag ka lumagpas dito, hanggang diyan ka lang. Pag nilagpasan mo yun, kinakalaban mo na ako. So, these leaders or managers who do not allow their people to grow, yan ang sinasabi kong stifling. You cannot create impact to an organization that does not allow people to grow and make pabida. Sabi nga nila, papabida-bida kayo. How can you let these people shine kung ayaw mo bigyan ng light sa organization mo? Something like that.
Mm.
So, again, going back to the HR who are feeling that they're in a dead-end position na puro admin work na lang, they have to do something in order to get themselves into the management seat para mas lalo nilang maramdaman yung impact nila in introducing new ideas, revolutionary and radical HR programs para talaga makatulong sa organization. Because if they will easily give up dahil ganun lang talaga yung admin work lang talaga sila, sabi ni Ma'am Rona, you have to assert yourself, you have to show that you know something and make the management realize na sayang itong taon to, hindi natin pakinggan. Something like that. It's the organization that should be changed also in order to
Mm.
harness the behavior of the people and the desire to create impact in the organization.
Sa
So,
akin
yun ang
kasi I'm very optimistic eh, 'di ba? So I strongly believe that people are more capable than what they're currently doing. And I've seen this multiple times. Ay, what you mentioned nga, 'di ba, sa the organization, many organizations just want you to do certain things and follow the rules. Pero I've noticed that people grow in leadership if you give them the chance to lead. Even in small ways. Kasi mahilig tayo, as you've mentioned, micromanage. But a lot of good leaders or very impactful people or very excellent workers come out when you give them the space to grow and your presence to guide them along the way. It can be done in any organization. Like for example, pag meron kang team, you call people to ask them to do work. Kasi minsan hindi ka tumatawag, lahat ikaw umaako, tapos magrereklamo ka, ikaw lahat gumagawa. So sometimes it starts with calling people to help out or to do certain things and giving them the freedom to do it so that they will be able to shine. And when they're doing it and hindi sila pulido, it's fine. Then you teach them how to be more pulido so that next time they will give you a better result. Kasi if they don't do things like this, if you don't give them the opportunity, they won't they won't shine at all. They'll remain there, parang very replaceable. It's training talaga. It's a lot of effort. Don't you think so, Jen? When you deal with people, you have to consciously train people. Leadership don't come out lang automatically, eh. 'Di ba?
That's true. That's
Pero
true. You
that's
have
also the reason, oo, 'di ba? You have to train people, guide them, teach them over and over and over and over and over. Pero when do you give up, Jen? Kasi 'di ba, Rona, when do you give up? Kasi minsan talaga masyadong mabigat yung kalabaw.
like
Pag ano na, pag maaano mo naman yun, kumbaga makikita mo naman na after mo mag-exert ng lahat ng effort and the person
Oo.
still not changing, ganun pa rin niya ginagawa yung mga bagay-bagay. Baka it's time na to have that talk, that one-on-one talk, and tell the person na, look, this is not working for you, this is not working for me, this might not be the right opportunity for you. Kasi yun naman talaga yun eh. This one, the company that we are in right now, the situation that we are in right now, it might not be working for you. But if you find another company, another organization, baka doon ka mag-bloom. Baka ito ay hindi ito yung tamang sitwasyon para mag-bloom ka, maging impactful ka, at malabas mo yung leadership qualities mo, yung potentials mo, yung maging talagang, alam mo, yung executable na na skills. So, baka hindi ito yun. Leaders tayo sa mga sa HR and even yung mga members ng top management. They have to make that hard conversation with employees. Pag nakikita nila na wala ng value na na-add at mas nag-aaksaya ka pa ng pera, ng oras, ng effort kesa doon sa nakukuha mong return on your investment. When you have that, talk to the person na agad and let the person know na it's not something personal. It's just that this is not the right environment for you. And I would want to see you grow. I would want to see you become an impactful person. But this is not the situation and the scenario and the environment for you. Baka nasa iba. Ganon. Do that conversation. Miss Jan, ano po ang masasabi mo?
for me naman, I've had encounters like that. And one thing that I do is I try to evaluate if I sometimes I have the right person in the organization but the wrong seat on the bus. What do I mean by that? They are
Mm.
talented, but I made a mistake maybe, or the HR made a mistake maybe in putting them at the wrong, designation, right?
Stage.
Yeah, so yeah. So sometimes I explore that, like, and I have a success story around that when I change what he, because I know this person, I know that she's very capable. She wants to deliver it, but she's, for some reason, she's not delivering on the particular role, right? So what I tried to do was see the strengths and the skills, and then try to arrange the job role, and
Mm.
that's fitness. Otherwise, meron din namang hangganan, right? Hindi naman
Mm.
kayo laging ganon, which what Ron was mentioning. When it's time to give up, it's really time to give up. I mean, by being kind to one, you might be unkind to all the rest, right? So you must know when to let go.
Do you think that the Philippines is saka meron matriarch society? Kasi 'di ba in other countries people complain about female leadership, that there's a glass ceiling. But you're a leader in the Philippines and you're leading your people, and in cybersecurity, which is not really a very feminine
That's right.
industry, diba? It's beauty, hair salon, nails. Cybersecurity is a predominantly male industry, right? So both ways to suppliers. Do you find that there is a ceiling for females, or you don't really feel that way because that's your experience?
I feel that there is. It's just that I have been accustomed to be, not to mind it. Like I
Right.
don't focus
Okay.
on that at all. But I recognize it maybe when I look at it from another point of view, like
Hmm.
another woman, for example. But for me, I don't usually feel it because when they talk to me, it's like, oh, it's Jen. We really have to, you know what I'm saying? So even my
Nawawala yung gender. Basta yung
principal,
issue na lang.
my
Oo.
principal vendors, there's one vendor, my principal partner told me, you know what, Jen, I'm hiring a channel VP for the Philippines. And you know what? Because I have so many partners, do you know who I had in mind? I had you in mind to make sure that, hindi kakainin ng buhay yung channels ko. You know what I'm saying? So he
Hmm.
had to be like, ang dami daw niyang ni-reject. Because when he's trying to imagine, eto ba papasa ba kay Jen to in terms of, like, I mean, baka kainin ng buhay. I mean, I don't want to paint it in a negative light of what I'm trying to do, but what I'm saying is that, even a woman or a man, it doesn't matter as long as you know that you're taken seriously in your
Hmm.
job, like in your, yung
Yeah.
parang ganon. So,
You
yeah,
let
yeah.
your work speak for itself. If that's the case, it doesn't matter what your background is, what your age is, what your gender is, kasi your work speaks for itself, and that's enough. We're almost at the end of the show. Last words first for Sir Alan, then me. I don't know, Ma'am Jan first, then Sir Alan, then me, then Rona to end.
All right. I've said what I've wanted to say, but maybe just really to leave you with something. Creating an impact. It's not living a life. It's not about just living without failures, but it's really about getting up every time you fall. So always have that kind of mindset that whatever you do, you try to create an impact, so that at the end of the day, you would say, I did what I had to do in whatever it is that you're trying to do, right? That's it.
Mentor Alan.
Yeah. Um, I always live by the name of my company, Creative Moves. Yeah, I believe in one technique or strategy. Initiate ideas, create ideas that have impact to the not only to the members of the organization but to the organization itself. As an HR leader, wag po tayo makontento sa admin work. You get out of the box. No? Learn new things. Tama yan, mag-attend ka ng mga seminar and volunteer and make sure na matutunan ninyo yung mga tricks so that way, so that you can earn the trust of the top management. Create impact by initiating new ideas, but be sure that you're able to communicate it well, sell the ideas so that the top management will have support, no? Will have a buy-in para mangyari yung mga suggestions. Yun po.
For me, I agree with Miss Jen's sinabi niya kanina, creating impact is a way of thinking. It is actually a way of life. I'm sorry, but for me, either you have it or you don't. It is really a different type of mindset. Sa akin kasi, parang people who want to create impact are always thinking about how they make a difference to others, to the world. It's always outside. It's never about them. It's never about, ito lang kasi trabaho ko, ito lang yung company ko, ito problema ko. People who create impact don't always talk about themselves. They always talk about other people or things bigger than themselves and how they can change the situation for others. Diba? I'm going to make a change for this, not for myself, but for everybody else. And I think that type of leadership is very admirable because it's you giving yourself to others. It may sound very exhausting, 'Di ba? But it comes with its own set of rewards, because if you are a person who create impact, then you live your life every day without any regrets. Even if you die tomorrow, I'm sorry, I like that, but even if you die tomorrow, people will remember you as a person who made a difference, if not about the world, but at least in their lives. And we only have one life to live. I'm not a very firm believer that there's life after that, that this is the only life where you can create impact. So why not start making a difference for other people today? Kasi sometimes it may, sabi nga nila, parang if you want to create impact, it's a privilege. Mga mayayaman lang, yung mga walang problema, sila lang talaga yung marunong mag-impact. It's not true. It is a way of life, and you can do it by changing the way you think, changing the way you talk, changing the way you communicate, changing the way you work, changing the way you deal with others, changing the way you parang think about your organization or stay in an organization. That's how you live your life. And if you can get what Miss Jen's message is, I think your life will change for the better, because people who create impact get bigger rewards in the long run. Okay? And if you don't get her point, please rewatch the replay of this webinar's HR Cafe. Parang, ano ba yung type A? Ano ba yung type B? Para mag-gets nyo yung point. Because it's such a very important message. But if you do get it, there are a lot of rewards, not just in your career, but also in your personal life. And it's the gift that keeps on giving, because if you're the type of person who creates impact, you will create children and subordinates and colleagues and partners who will create impact too. Because as what Miss Jen has said, like begets like. And who wouldn't want to be in an environment where everybody, you're with people who walk the talk and don't just talk the walk? Mentor Rona?
Ayan, napakaganda ng topic natin today. For those who are still with us, siguro pinakauna kong sasabihin is, being an impactful person doesn't mean na what you're going to impact is the organization lang. It can be an impact to the people around you, inspiring them to be better than who they were when they entered the organization. It doesn't have to be a very big project within an organization. Hindi kailangan ng tipo, ikaw ang nag-solve ng problema ng buong kumpanya. Hindi. It could be as simple as inspiring the person next to you to really stick it out, to really grow, to be better than what they are, just because you said something or because they saw what you did and you were a great example for them. Hindi kailangan na malaki ang impact. And impact is different from being popular. A lot of people think na in order to make an impact, you have to be popular. Or if you are able to do an impactful thing, you would become popular. No, I know a lot of people who were able to make changes within the organization, but they are very quiet, nasa likod lang sila, and hindi mo malalaman na sila palang nag-orchestrate ng kung anumang change na yun. Or you won't even know that they were able to inspire lots of people. It's because they are not in it para lang may maipagmalaki. They are in it because they want to change something. They want to touch people's lives and they want to really help other people. Tulad nga ng sabi ni Mentor Tina, it's all about others rather than yourself. And you might have heard Mentor Alan, Coach Alan, and Miss Jen talk about it being both a nurture and a nature thing at hindi ito one or the other. And this is actually true. And hindi dahil sa tingin mo ngayon na hindi ka impactful, hindi ibig sabihin nun na 10 years from now, 20 years from now, hindi ka magiging impactful. But you have to do something about it. If you know that right now, ito yung kailangan kong gawin to be impactful, that I need to move out of where I am right now, of the mindset that I am in, then start working on it. Start making the changes that you think need to happen para you can be an impactful person. Kasi if you're not going to change anything, tulad nga ng sabi ni Einstein daw, di ba? It's doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Hindi magbabago yung sitwasyon mo if you don't do anything about it. Start working on yourself. Work on yourself first. Work on improving yourself. And once you've improved yourself, start looking at how you can improve the life of other people, how you can help them, how you can support them. And then from there, start looking at how can I make an impact and how can I support my boss? How can I support my organization? Baby steps yan. It's not something that happens overnight. It's not something that happens in a year's time. Sometimes it would take you 5 years, 10 years, 20 years before you're able to really understand how you can make an impact. So, wag yung tipong gigil agad na, "Ay, hindi, kailangan ngayon na ito." Take the time, enjoy the process, you will get there. Naniniwala ako, parang yung tulad ng sabi ni Mentor Tina, naniniwala ako na at some point, you will become an impactful person. So, work on yourself. Take the time, pace yourself, and once you are confident enough, start working on other things. And then, hindi mo mamamalayan, you are actually already making an impact to the people around you, to your boss, and to your organization. Okay? Ayan. Maraming maraming salamat po again everyone for staying with us. Naku, napaka-inspiring ng ating talk for today at i-excite ako para sa ating magiging topic na naman for next Sunday. But for now, enjoy the rest of your Sunday dahil bukas ay Monday na naman. You need the energy for it. Bukas ay isa sa mga araw para magandang i-apply ang natutunan natin for today. So again, thank you everyone, and we hope to see you in our next episode here in HR Cafe, Usapang Trabaho, Buhay at Iba pa. Until next Sunday everyone, bye-bye!
Bye.
Bye-bye.